He turned his head to look at Zhu Xing and Meng Yuan, discovering they were admiring the weapons brought by Great Xia. A cold smile crossed his face as he whispered, "Could it be you think that the camps of Zhu He and Tongling, because of their kindness, exploit the nearby camps this way? Of course not. The reason they use such methods is because they lack the strength to annex the other 9 camps." At this point, Qiu Peng finally understood thoroughly and nodded his head. Seeing that he had understood, Xia Chuan shifted the topic with a smile. "Of course, the approach you suggested doesn't apply here at 5-8 Mountain, but that doesn't mean it won't work elsewhere. The core issue is strength." With a clearer mindset, Qiu Peng naturally realized the crux of the problem. Seeing Xia Chuan's testing gaze, he immediately gave the answer. "Unless Great Xia's strength cannot dominate, in other words, cannot claim the territory for our own, we can adopt such unequal trade methods, indirectly having other camps acquire resources for our Great Xia. Just as the elder brother had said, talents must be cultivated." Xia Chuan nodded, looking at Qiu Peng, a hint of admiration rising in his eyes. "The camps in the vicinity of 5-8 Mountain are not yet qualified to trade with us. These 40,000 caddies of iron ore can only be regarded as a gesture of goodwill from Great Xia. If they have any sense, they should understand after returning." Upon hearing this, Qiu Peng felt more invigorated, watching everyone who had finished exchanging the supplies, and now surrounding the hundreds of weapons, a peculiar smile appearing on his face as he laughed. "Sir, did you already know that they couldn't afford these weapons and just brought them to show off?" Xia Chuan nodded slightly, the corners of his mouth curving slightly. Seeing their reaction to Great Xia's weapons was not unexpected. To be precise, he already knew this when he first interacted with Xiao Kengcheng. The weapons smelting level around 5-8 Mountain is really far behind that of Great Xia. Despite both being made of 10 forged iron, the weapons from around 5-8 Mountain have too many impurities mixed in, and the solidification level is insufficient. In terms of sharpness and hardness, they fall far short compared to the arms of Great Xia. Poor weapon quality is also the reason why the hunting level of the camps around here cannot improve. Previously, Xia Chuan had priced ordinary weapons at 5 times the weight. In other words, a saber weighing 600 caddies would require 3 times that, which is 3,000 caddies of iron ore, to exchange. According to the coal-to-iron exchange rate here in 5-8 Mountain, it would cost 45,000 caddies of coal just to exchange for the lightest saber. These are just ordinary weapons. The price of special weapons like bows and arrows is even higher. A 10-stone iron bow costs 5,000 caddies of iron ore, which translates to 75,000 caddies of coal. Initially, Qiu Peng didn't fully understand, but now he realized that Xia Chuan set the prices so high, never intending for these people to trade at all. He brought these weapons over just to show them. First, pique their curiosity and awe towards Great Xia, so when they send people to visit Great Xia, their understanding will deepen, and the subsequent pace of annexing these camps can be quicker. After Xia Chuan gently spoke these words and saw the materials exchange had ended and everyone was still gathered around the weapons, he stepped directly in front of the crowd. "Everyone, this mutual exchange meeting ends here. I know you want these weapons, but you didn't bring enough coal stone today, so let's do this instead." At this point, Xia Chuan paused and signaled to Qiu Peng to put the weapons away, then continued with a smile. "I just mentioned that each camp can send 3 people to visit our Great Xia camp. At that time, they can bring resources to exchange. These weapons are quite common in Great Xia, and you are welcome to trade for them anytime." Upon hearing this, everyone showed a bit of regret but could only nod. "Sir, may I ask when to send people to visit, and how can we find the Great Xia camp?" Chen Hua from the West Peak camp was the first to ask this question. Many turned their heads to look at him, with slight shifts in their expressions. Xia Chuan's eyes flashed as he looked at Chen Hua with a hint of approval. Being proactive in asking this question clearly shows that the West Peak camp is most interested in merging into Great Xia, hence the urgency to learn about Great Xia. "Everyone, rest assured. I have arranged everything. Tomorrow night after dark, I will send someone here to wait. Once all 10 of your groups have gathered, they will escort you to our Great Xia camp and return you by the same route a day later." 10 groups? Aren't there 11 here? The crowd exchanged puzzled glances for a moment. A few quick thinkers immediately realized something, shifting their gaze to Xiao Kengcheng. "Excuse me, everyone. Our Xiao He camp already has people in Great Xia. Xiao Qingcheng cupped his hands with a smile and explained. The others instantly understood. He was the only one here who knew Xia Chuan, and clearly, Xiao He camp had already been in contact with Great Xia. Seeing that the people from the Great Xia camp had packed up, Xia Chuan had no intention of lingering. He signaled Yuan Dao to lead the people to withdraw first, then turned to the leaders of the 5-8 mountain camp, cupping his hands with a hearty laugh. Everyone, let's leave it at that for today. Tomorrow night at the Great Xia camp, we await your esteemed presence. Suddenly recalling something, he turned to look at Xiao Qingcheng, inviting. Leader Xiao, it's on the way, so come along with us. Xiao Yuan and the two young ladies, Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu, are waiting for us not far from here, and it would be just right to hand them over to you. Chapter 356. Chapter 181. What does Great Xia want? Liu Dahu's ambition /3. Thank you, Lord Xia Chuan. Upon hearing that Xiao Yuan and his two daughters were nearby, Xiao Qingcheng nodded with a smile and followed with Lu Shun and Xiao Ping, who were pushing a cart. As the people from the Great Xia camp departed, the remaining from the 10 camps naturally had no interest in lingering any longer. Everyone, I'll take my leave first. I need to go back and deliberate. The 5-8 mountain, I fear, is about to become quite restless. Meng Yuan, who was usually silent, surprisingly spoke first and left with 3 others. The crowd was a bit surprised but said nothing. After Meng Yuan's departure, Zhu He and the others from the 8 remaining camps also left one after another. On the east side of the Ape Peak, Meng Yuan and his 3 men were speeding across the snow. Although they were all carrying heavy bags, their speed was swift, and their expressions were tense, as if they were fleeing from something, not daring to slow down even for a moment. Leader, we've gone almost a kilometer. We should be safe now. Meng Yuan, who was running at the front, immediately stopped upon hearing this, glanced back over his shoulder, sensing that they were indeed far from the cave, and his tense expression gradually relaxed. Once his expression completely relaxed, he turned to the person on the far left among the 3 behind him, and with a face of reproach, he spoke. I told you not to come, but you insisted on coming, and even wanted to save your 2 brothers and all those family members. Is the Great Xia camp easy to provoke? That Yuan Dao with over 30 people could easily capture you all. The strength of Xia Chuan isn't known, but his position is obviously above Yuan Dao. You alone want to save people from him. How is that possible? Over 100 in the earth-digging realm, each wielding such great weapons. Luckily they didn't recognize you. If they had, our Tongling camp would have suffered tonight as well. With all the cooperation over the years, if we capsize in this ditch. Shut up. Before Meng Yuan could finish his string of reproaches, he was abruptly interrupted by that person. That person looked up, revealing an unremarkable face, but the ferocity in his eyes and his fierce tone still subdued Meng Yuan, causing his face to turn white and blue, leaving him speechless for a long time. Cooperate with me. Haven't I been cooperating with you? Without the 3 of us brothers, could your Tongling camp have comfortably extracted iron ore from these camps for all these years? Without the 3 of us brothers, where did all the people in your camp come from? I've done so many dirty deeds for you, and I'm just asking you to help me this once. What are you whining about? Liu Dahu's gaze was cold as he looked at Meng Yuan. The thought of his 2nd and 3rd brothers, and so many family members being killed in front of him, just now caused his anger to climb to its peak. At this moment, his desire to kill had risen to its height. If it weren't for Meng Yuan being of use, he would truly wish to kill him right now. Revenge, revenge, I must have revenge. 2nd brother, 3rd brother, wife, son. Rest assured, one day, I will make Yuan Dao, Xia Chuan, and everyone in the Great Xia camp all accompany you in death. The fists under Liu Dahu's sleeves were almost clenched to the point of bleeding, roaring furiously in his heart. After over 10 breaths, he finally turned to Meng Yuan, slowly concealing the emotions on his face, and spoke softly. Leader Meng, having just seen all my family die in front of me, my emotions were inevitably off. I was rude, please forgive me. Hearing his inconsistent attitude, Meng Yuan was stunned, but his expression slightly mellowed. It's all right. We've had a good relationship for so many years, and indeed those things, Liu Dahu's expression completely relaxed, biting his teeth as if he had made up his mind, and directly bowed to Meng Yuan respectfully. Leader Meng, all my family is dead, and 3 Tigers camp is gone. I have nowhere to go in the future but to join your Tongling camp. From today onwards, I shall rename myself as Liu Bio, and henceforth, I am a common member of the Tongling camp. I hope Leader Meng can keep my secret, and in the future, Liu will be willing to be at your disposal. How about it? Meng Yuan was first taken aback, but then his expression instantly became excited. Given Great Xia's attitude toward Liu Erhu and others, if Liu Dahu's identity were revealed and the Great Xia learned of it, he would surely be doomed. This is equivalent to having a hold over him, and yet this handle was offered by Liu Dahu himself. Liu Dahu was surrendering to him. Considering Liu Dahu's strength, although there were some concerns, a hint of excitement flashed in Meng Yuan's eyes, and he hurriedly stepped forward to help him up. Liu, Bio brother, there's no need to be so polite. Having your assistance is a blessing for our Tongling camp. Rest assured from now on, there's only one named Liu Bio in Tongling camp. As for Liu Dahu, I don't know who that is and no one does. Keeping his head down, Liu Dahu's face showed a triumphant smile, quickly altering his expression to one of gratitude. Liu Bio thanks Leader Meng. Given today's circumstances, this idiot Meng Yuan will surely later lead the entire camp to merge into the Great Xia, so I can blend in with a new identity. Getting rid of this fool is not difficult. Once that's done, no one will know my true identity. Isn't the Great Xia camp very strong? I'll infiltrate it, use your resources to enhance my strength, and once I'm powerful, I'll kill Yuan Dao, Xia Chuan, and everyone else. On that day, I want to see what expressions you all will have. Liu Dahu's face appeared normal, but inside he was roaring twistedly, almost visualizing Xia Chuan, Yuan Dao, and others kneeling before him in the future. A scarlet hue rose in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth slightly lifted. I knew it, this idiot clearly weaker than you. Why is he the leader and you're the subordinate? So you are the escaped Dahu. A cool and slightly teasing voice suddenly came from the side, causing Liu Dahu's face to instantly freeze, and his heart to tremble sharply. Who's there? Who is it? Meng Yuan and his two other subordinates were also startled, quickly turning toward the direction of the voice, shouting to find out who it was. Chapter 357. Chapter 182. Redwood, Eye of Truth. Three joys arrive at the door. On the snowy ground, a black-clad figure slowly walked towards the four people. As the distance decreased, Liu Dahu, Meng Yuan, and the two attendants clearly saw the young man's attire and appearance. Suddenly their expressions froze, and their mood became exceptionally heavy. Though it was night, the ground was covered with snow, so visibility wasn't too low. Even though they were more than 10 meters away, the fitted black clothes the young man wore faintly reflected a lustrous glow, and the four of them clearly saw that it was obviously no ordinary item. Looking at his appearance again, his face was like a jade crown. His skin didn't appear as rough as theirs. Even his exposed hands emitted a faint white glow. The young man clearly wore no weapon. Yet Liu Dahu and the three others felt their hair stand on end, their gazes growing extremely tense. Especially seeing the young man continually approach them, the four readied themselves for a great enemy, unsheathing their weapons without hesitation. Leader Meng, he's from Great Xia, he just heard what we said. Strike first, don't let him go back to report. Liu Dahu took the longbow from his back and shot it swiftly at the black-clad figure, while loudly reminding the three beside Meng Yuan. Recalling the words the young man just spoke, Meng Yuan's pupils shrank. Though a trace of hesitation flashed across his face, he gritted his teeth and still drew his knife. The two behind him also drew their knives and charged forward with him. To be so foolish yet become a leader, it's truly strange. The black-clad figure naturally was Xia Hong. Seeing Meng Yuan really being instigated by Liu Dahu to charge forward, Xia Hong shook his head. Whoosh! He merely waved his right hand lightly, swatting away the first two iron arrows shot by Liu Dahu. Then his gaze sharpened as he caught the third with his left hand like lightning. During this gap, Meng Yuan had already led his men to Xia Hong's side, and just as Xia Hong caught the third iron arrow, the three broadswords were already swinging at him horizontally. The three were no fools. Seeing Xia Hong nonchalantly deal with all three iron arrows made them realize they had provoked someone beyond their capability. But the problem was, the broadswords had already been swung. Even if they wanted to retract them, they couldn't. Yet Xia Hong neither dodged nor blocked. Though there was fear on Meng Yuan's face, seeing this, a fierce light flashed in his pupils' depths, and the broadsword fiercely slashed down. Clang, clang, clang. All three broadswords hit Xia Hong accurately. Meng Yuan aimed for the neck, while the other two aimed for the waist and the chest. But the anticipated beheading and disembowelment did not happen. In the silent forest, only the sound of metal clashing against stone rang out 3 times. Meng Yuan and the three found that where they struck had not even left a scratch, and they immediately broke out in a cold sweat, bodies beginning to tremble uncontrollably. In an instant, they even forgot to retrieve their broadswords. "Turn around and look at Liu Dahu." Meng Yuan heard the voice and turned back, seeing Liu Dahu had run over 100 meters away, his face flushed red in anger, wanting to curse, but dared not make a sound before the young man, standing motionless in place. However, what happened next made his body tremble even more. The young man merely raised his head and lightly tossed the iron arrow in his left hand at Liu Dahu in the distance. It really was just a light toss, not even showing any effort. Yet that iron arrow suddenly flew out like a meteor, drawing a straight line in the night sky, accurately hitting Liu Dahu in the back. Liu Dahu let out a miserable scream and fell straight from the tree. At this moment, Meng Yuan finally reacted, kneeling directly in front of the young man, pleading, "Have mercy, sir, have mercy. I was manipulated into attacking you. Please spare me. Have mercy, sir. Have mercy, sir." Once he knelt, the 2 attendants naturally followed suit, kowtowing repeatedly, begging the young man for forgiveness. Xia Hong didn't even glance at the 3, merely fixing his gaze on Liu Dahu not far away. Seeing him lying motionless on the ground, a deep color flashed in his eyes, and he said to Meng Yuan's 2 attendants, "Go and carry him here." "Yes, sir." Having just witnessed what Xia Hong did, the 2 dared not even think of escaping. Dropping their broadswords, they quickly got up and obediently carried Liu Dahu back from a distance. An arrow still stuck in Liu Dahu's back. He showed no reaction, lying motionless on the snowy ground after being tossed down by the 2. Xia Hong slowly moved forward, coming before Liu Dahu, just about to speak. At this moment, the dead Liu Dahu suddenly jerked up, drawing a vermilion soft band of unknown origin from his waist, whipping it towards Xia Hong's neck. Snap! The vermilion band wrapped around Xia Hong's neck from right to left. Though the band was soft, the moment it touched Xia Hong's neck, it suddenly became incomparably hard, tightly constricting him. Thinking he had succeeded, Liu Dahu cruelly laughed twice, exerted sudden force with both hands, and yanked back violently, seemingly trying to break Xia Hong's neck. However, that full-force yank didn't move Xia Hong at all. Instead, Liu Dahu stumbled and fell directly to the ground. "Did you think that one arrow was all my strength?" Xia Hong looked down at Liu Dahu expressionlessly, his voice full of mockery. Chapter 358. Chapter 182. Redwood, Eye of Truth. 3 joys arrive at the door /2. If that arrow just now hadn't been held back, how could Liu Dahu's body, with a mere basic strength of more than 40,000 jin, have survived? From the moment he lay motionless on the ground, Xia Hong knew he was playing dead. This person is indeed fierce. Knowing he couldn't escape, he fought to the death. Too bad he encountered me. As Liu Dahu's hands lost strength, the red soft band that had just wrapped around Xia Hong's neck quickly rebounded and loosened, then snapped straight into a 2-meter-long red stick. This is the very powerful stick Zhu Ling mentioned. Xia Hong grabbed the stick, and a hint of curiosity rose in his eyes. Just by holding it, he knew the stick was made of wood. A wooden stick with such high toughness is one thing, but it's also so sturdy. This wood looks more and more familiar. Xia Hong suddenly paused as he thought of something. He remembered this wood, isn't it? How did you see through me, just because my strength is stronger than Meng Yuan's? Liu Dahu was already on the verge of death. He looked at Xia Hong, his eyes filled with fierce light but also deep confusion. Xia Hong put away the long stick, lowered his head to look at him, and a glimmer flashed in his left eye. Unlike others in his sight, Liu Dahu's face was clearly covered with a layer of red substance, and his true appearance was obviously fierce, unlike the plain face he showed now. Eye of Truth, not only can it see through the flow of blood and qi in the body, but it can also discern people's true appearances. I just wonder if there are any more functions beyond these, which will take time to explore. Xia Hong's expression was slightly excited. He had studied that Yang mirror for a long time, and finally decided to do as Yuanhun did and integrate the mirror into his eye. After the Yang mirror was integrated into his left eye, His strength didn't change, but his eyes gained two special abilities. One was the shattering divine light, and the other was seeing through the flow of blood and qi. No, now there should be three. It can also see through falsehoods and detect disguises. This 5-8 mountain exchange meet slightly intrigued Xia Hong, especially since the great Xia is about to expand into this area. Knowing he could meet the leaders of 11 camps at once, Xia Hong decided to come and take a look. Unexpectedly, this glance brought some surprises. In the other 10 camps, the leaders were the strongest, with weaker followers. Only in this Tongling camp was the leader Meng Yuan's strength inferior to his follower, let alone the fact that this follower was in a mind-boggling disguise. So glaring, Xia Hong couldn't help but notice. After the exchange meet ended, Xia Hong followed Meng Yuan for a while. To his surprise, this pursuit led to a discovery. This could be considered a delightful surprise. Seeing Liu Dahu still waiting for him to solve the mystery, Xia Hong gently shook his head. He had no interest in doing so. Xia Hong bent down, reached out, and pinched Liu Dahu's face for a while, quickly tearing off a pale red mask. The mask was tightly attached to Liu Dahu's face. Once removed, his entire appearance and aura changed completely. Such a magical mask instantly piqued Xia Hong's interest. After examining the mask for a long time, he immediately placed the long stick that Liu Dahu was holding next to the mask. Upon comparison, he found that the materials of both were the same. This mask, is it made of this wood? Pei. Lying on the ground, Liu Dahu spat fiercely after hearing Xia Hong's question and said harshly, "Falling into your hands, I accept the loss. If you want to kill, just kill. I won't tell you anything." Xia Hong's expression immediately darkened but soon relaxed, shaking his head with a light smile, still quite stubborn. "Dying isn't so easy and you're not qualified for me to kill. Hope you stay tough for a while longer." After speaking, Xia Hong no longer looked at him and turned his gaze to the three people on the side. Noticing Xia Hong's gaze, Meng Yuan, kneeling on the ground with the other two, began pleading for mercy again. "Master, I was bewitched. Please spare my life. If the great Xia wants our Tongling camp, we will all." "Shut up, take him with you, all follow me." Xia Hong interrupted Meng Yuan's words directly and turned to walk toward Middle Ape Peak. From the conversation between Meng Yuan and Liu Dahu earlier, it was clear that this Tongling camp was probably not a good bunch, so he naturally couldn't give a good face. Meng Yuan and the other two stood up, not daring to say a word, lifting the dying Liu Dahu as they followed behind Xia Hong with a feeling of uncertainty. "Dad, let me tell you, over at the Daxia camp there's a lot of stuff. There's wooden beds and chairs cushioned with beast fur, jewelry polished from beast teeth, a forge specifically for making tools and weapons, and everyone has clothes to wear. There's even more beast meat than they can eat, lots and lots. Great Xia implements a contribution value system. As long as you aren't in the logging realm, even children under 6 have a fixed monthly quota of beast meat. Once you reach the logging realm, you must earn contribution points yourself. The things Zio you just mentioned can all be exchanged for contribution points. The prices are very low. Almost everyone can trade for the beast meat needed for cultivation." Not far from Middle Ape Peak, Xia Chuan led a group as they progressed slowly. The crowd was exceptionally quiet, so the voices of the Zio Ning sisters were very clear, and everyone could hear them. Hearing the sisters praise the camp, all the people from Great Xia naturally felt proud and showed expressions of pride. Chapter 359. Chapter 182. Red Wood Eye of Truth, Threefold Joy arrives /3. And Zio Kangcheng's expression was even more spectacular, moving from initial shock to later numbness, and finally to a stage of disbelief. What his two daughters had said about Great Xia was truly astonishing to him. Despite his trust in his daughters, he couldn't help but turn his head to look at Zio Yuan for confirmation. Seeing Zio Yuan nod slightly, Zio Kangcheng immediately fell silent and completely believed his daughter's words. "Father, there's no time to lose. Let's join them quickly." "Eldest sister is right, father. The sooner we join, the sooner our lives will improve. We can't delay." Despite the eagerness in the voices of his two daughters, Zio Kangcheng looked up at Xia Chuan ahead, remaining silent and not responding. Zio Ning and her sister exchanged glances, puzzled by their father's reaction. They both knew that their father had no objections to joining Great Xia. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent Uncle Yuan to investigate. What other worries could he have? Zio Ning thought for a moment, looked at the group of people from Great Xia not far ahead, turned to her father, and softly said, "Father, do you know why Brother Xia Chuan brought so many people tonight?" Xiao Qingcheng was taken aback. What other reason could there be than to intimidate these 11 camps? Xiao Ning guessed what her father was thinking, shook her head, and said, "Intimidation is secondary, and there's no need to bring so many people. Even half would be enough." Pausing here, Xiao Ning continued, "The most important reason Brother Xia Chuan brought so many people tonight is to move everyone from the Three Tigers camp to Great Xia." Upon hearing this, Xiao Qingcheng instantly understood why his daughter had mentioned this. "Father, at 5-8 Mountain there are a total of 11 camps, and our Xiao River isn't particularly strong. There is a difference between going first and going later. If we don't seize the opportunity and wait until later, inevitably, we might be neglected." As an elderly man, Xiao Qingcheng naturally understood his daughter's intentions. But he clearly had concerns in his heart and was unwilling to relent. Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu didn't know why, and could only cast a pleading glance at Xiao Yuan, hoping he could persuade their father. However, Xiao Yuan seemed to know something, and just shrugged without speaking. "So Leader Xiao, do you still have concerns?" The sisters, Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu, turned their heads upon hearing the voice and discovered that Xia Chuan had brought a few people over to their group of 6 without them knowing when. It was only natural that Xia Chuan had overheard their conversation. Xiao Qingcheng offered a wry smile and cupped his hands. "Lord Xia Chuan, I misunderstood. With such generous conditions at Great Xia, what concerns could I possibly have? It's just that." Stopping his voice here, he continued, "Lord, could you agree to condition for me? As long as you agree, I, Xiao, will immediately go back and have the camp pack up and tonight accompany you all to settle at Great Xia camp. How about it?" Xia Chuan laughed heartily and said, "Leader Xiao, go ahead and speak. Any request, as long as I can make the decision, I will definitely agree." From his understanding of Xiao Qingcheng, the other party would not make any excessive demands. Upon hearing this, Xiao Qingcheng immediately smiled, pointed to his eldest daughter Xiao Ning, and spoke with clasped hands. "My daughter, ever since Lord Xia Chuan came to the camp last time, has been distracted. After following you to Great Xia camp this time, she's even become a different person. I, Xiao, shamelessly request for my daughter to be given in marriage to Lord Xia Chuan. I only have this one request. Lord Xia Chuan just said anything he could decide on. He would surely agree, so you mustn't go back on your word." As soon as Xiao Qingcheng spoke these words, Xia Chuan was instantly stunned. Not only Xia Chuan, but everyone from Great Xia was also taken aback. Soon after, laughter erupted. "Minister, he's proposing to you, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, well done, Leader Xiao. Ha ha, Lord Minister, a wife has been delivered to you." Yuan Dao, Qiu Peng, and the rest of the Great Xia group, after realizing what was happening, all chimed in to tease, bursting into laughter. "Father, what nonsense are you talking about? I won't talk to you anymore." Meanwhile, Xiao Ning, the person involved, had long blushed red. Apparently, she hadn't expected her father Xiao Qingcheng to say such a thing, and she stomped her feet repeatedly in anger, reprimanding her father's nonsense. Yet while reprimanding, she inadvertently glanced at Xia Chuan from the corner of her eye, clearly harboring a glimmer of anticipation deep in her eyes. Next to her, her sister Xiao Yu, seeing her elder sister's shy demeanor, couldn't help but chuckle. But her pupils also carried a trace of complexity, her thoughts unknown. This. Xia Chuan stood there for a long time unable to speak. Though he had the final say in Great Xia, he truly lacked experience in such matters. Although he didn't blush, he also didn't know what to say. Refusal seemed unkind, and he did indeed have a good impression of Xiao Ning. But to agree immediately. Suddenly something dawned on him, his eyes lit up, and he smiled, saying, "Leader Xiao, I'm afraid I really can't make such a decision, though my parents are no longer with us, my elder brother." "I agree." Before Xia Chuan could finish his perfectly thought-out reason, a clear voice came from behind the crowd. The Great Xia crowd immediately felt a jolt upon hearing the voice. Clang! The jovial atmosphere of joking, just a moment ago, instantly turned serious and tense. Chapter 360. Chapter 182. Redwood, Eye of Truth. 3 joys arrive at the door /4. Everyone turned their heads to look behind them, bowing respectfully to the newcomer, with a voice full of reverence. "Greetings, leader." The sudden change among the more than 100 people of Great Xia left the 6 people led by Xiao Qingcheng somewhat stunned. Hearing the 4 words shouted by the crowd, their expressions immediately tensed. Despite their intense curiosity, the 6 of them couldn't help but lower their heads in respect along with the people of Great Xia, affected by the atmosphere. Big brother. With Xia Chuan's slightly awkward words, everyone began to raise their heads. Following the crowd, Xiao Qingcheng and the other 5 finally saw clearly the appearance of the person who had arrived behind them. At that moment, all 6 of them showed slight surprise, with astonishment written on their faces. Whether it was the Xiao Yuan, Xiao Ning, and Xiao Yu, who had been to Great Xia, or Xiao Qingcheng, Lu Shun, and Xiao Ping, who hadn't been, although they had never met Xia Hong, they had their own assumptions. To have developed Great Xia to such strength, commanding the respect of Xia Chuan, Yuan Dao, and over 100 earth-digging realm experts, worshipped as a deity by thousands in the Great Xia camp. For such a person, it's not excessive to wonder what charisma they might possess. What they hadn't expected is that Xia Hong was so young. He seemed not to be even 20 years old. Especially since the 2 brothers looked quite alike. Due to Xia Hong's smooth and slightly radiant skin, he appeared much younger. Wasn't he supposed to be Xia Chuan's elder brother? Why did he seem even younger than Xia Chuan? The only explanation was that Xia Hong's cultivation realm was so advanced. So advanced that they couldn't discern his age. Big brother, I. As Xia Chuan awkwardly spoke again, everyone snapped back to reality, remembering that Xia Hong had just mentioned his agreement, and they all chuckled quietly. Xiao Ning's face flushed an even deeper shade of red, nervously clutching the hem of her sleeves. Xiao Qingcheng's expression was brimming with excitement. With Xia Hong's approval, this marriage proposal was practically a sure thing. What, you don't want to? Upon hearing Xia Hong's question, Xia Chuan instinctively glanced at Xiao Ning, stammering and unable to respond. Seeing this reaction, Xia Hong smiled. He had noticed earlier when Xiao Ning arrived at the camp that his brother seemed interested in these 2 girls. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made this decision so readily. Xia Hong's gaze shifted to Xiao Yu beside Xiao Ning, and with a thoughtful expression he said to Xiao Qingcheng, "One isn't enough. I think it's better to have Xiao Yu marry my brother as well. Leader Xiao, what do you think?" Xiao Qingcheng was taken aback, turning to look at his second daughter, Xiao Yu. Seeing her face flushed but silent, his heart sank. Well, it seems the second one was also smitten by Xia Chuan. "Leader, you have a good eye." Hearing Xiao Qingcheng's address, Xia Hong chuckled lightly. The people of Great Xia looked at Xia Chuan, who appeared increasingly awkward, and couldn't help but burst into laughter, starting to tease. The minister truly is a minister. He plans to marry 2 wives at once. That's called talent. Without talent, who could do such a thing? Ha ha ha, the leader is mighty. Get out of here, all of you, shut up. Xia Chuan couldn't help but laugh and scold a couple of times, turning to nod slightly at the Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu sisters, feeling a peculiar sensation rising in his heart. Who goes there? Leader, someone is coming. No need to worry. At that moment, Meng Yuan and 2 others came over carrying Liu Dahu. Signaling for everyone to remain calm, when Meng Yuan and the others approached and everyone saw clearly, they were taken aback. The exchange meeting had just ended, and many still remembered Meng Yuan. Leader Meng, why is it you weren't you? Not to mention Xiao Qingcheng, who shouted directly but immediately fell silent when he noticed Meng Yuan's frightened and panicked face, realizing something. Liu Dahu. It was Yuan Dao who recognized the man being carried by the 3, his pupils narrowing instantly. It's indeed Liu Dahu. Captured by the leader. Severely injured, but it seems he's still breathing. Hong Tian, Zhu Ling, Zhu Yuan, and more than 30 others who had followed Yuan Dao in attacking the 3 tigers' camp also recognized Liu Dahu. Xia Hong didn't bother to explain much, looking at Xia Chuan and saying, "The Tongling camp has colluded with the Liu Dahu brothers. These 3 are not good people. They must have committed many misdeeds before. Gather a group and investigate the Tongling camp tonight. If there are any problems, they should not remain. If the rest are normal, bring them back if possible." Yes, leader. Xia Chuan was invigorated, as the plan was to relocate the 3 tigers' camp people tonight. Just now, Xiao Qingcheng agreed to bring people from Xiao He camp over, and now there's another addition with the Tongling camp, a triple success. But it wasn't just that. Xia Hong tossed a stick and a mask to Xia Chuan, pointing at Liu Dahu. These two items should be useful to you. They were obtained from him. Take them back, interrogate him, and find out where they came from. Receiving the items, Xia Chuan examined them and immediately looked serious. Understood, leader. All right, you all go ahead. I have some matters to attend to elsewhere. We respectfully see off the leader. Everyone bowed, and when they looked up again, Xia Hong had already vanished. Only Meng Yuan and the other two remained, carrying Liu Dahu and looking anxious. Yuan Sijing, you take half the people to relocate the three tigers. I'll take the other half and head to the Tongling camp now. Let's try to finish tonight and bring everyone over, so we don't have to make extra trips later. Yuan Dao nodded, quickly dividing half the group to head toward the Ape Peak, where the Three Tigers camp was located. Leader Zio, you should return now to inform your people to pack up. When Yuan Sijing relocates, he will pass by an Ape Peak. Then, your people should join the team directly and return to the Great Xia Station with them. Zio Qingqing nodded, taking Zio Yuan and the 5 others, and left as well. Finally, only Xia Chuan remained with the other half of the group. You 3 lead the way. Xia Chuan wasn't so polite towards Meng Yuan and the others. Just now, Big Brother Xia Hong clearly stated that the Tongling camp had collusions with the Liu Dahu brothers, and these 3 were brought in by Xia Hong along with Liu Dahu, displaying guilty and anxious expressions throughout. They obviously had big problems. What's more, Xia Hong just said directly that these 3 weren't good people. This Tongling camp likely contains many underhanded activities. I need to devise a method to investigate well, to ensure that no problematic individuals enter Great Xia. As Xia Chuan hurried forward, he pondered how to conduct an investigation of the Tongling camp to thoroughly screen the people. Chapter 361, Chapter 183, Population Explosion, Valley Planning. First year of the Great Xia, April 20th. It has been exactly 1 month since Xia Hong integrated the 6 ministries. 17 days have passed since that barter meeting. The Great Xia Station Valley has undergone earth-shattering changes. After nightfall, people poured out of the 2 temporary wooden huts. There were fully armed hunting teams, adults organizing groups to go out for logging, women carrying buckets of snow, boys practicing boxing in groups in the courtyard outside the wooden house, and children under the age of 6 coming out to play together. Anyone who paid attention would notice many new faces in the valley, representing almost every age group, and the overall population involved in valley activities was significantly more than before. After everyone left the wooden huts, they would instinctively look back at the wooden building under construction, with a strong look of longing on their faces. That wooden building should be almost done. Ordinary laborers are no longer needed. These days, it's just the more than 100 people from the craftsman workshop busy inside. Definitely, it's already in the finishing stage. I heard they're setting up the 3rd floor rooms. Yesterday, I saw a lot of good furniture moved in. Tusk, it was all wrapped in beast fur, probably placed in the leader's room. I saw it too last night. Just a chair with the back and seat all covered in beast fur. Even the chair legs were carved from beast bone, with a frost wolf head carved on each armrest. Tusk, it was so beautiful. I saw it too. That chair is really beautiful. I asked a friend from the craftsman department, and guess how many contribution points it would take to exchange for that chair. How many? 70 points. Tusk, 70 points. That's enough for a day of training at the martial arts hall. And there's still 20 points left over. A whole set of clothes is just 155 points, and this chair is worth half a set of clothes. Also, only the leader can probably afford to use it, right? Not necessarily. I heard hunting team members have also ordered it, and the craftsman department has accumulated quite a few orders. It's just an ordinary chair, but the wooden bed, lampstand, and fire basin, everything used in the leader's room is of the highest standard. Yesterday, I also saw a throne intricately carved with over a dozen cold beast patterns and luxuriously gilded, which I heard is made from the gold powder of the golden frost tree. It must be for the leader. There's no need to say it, in our Great Xia, who else but the leader deserves to sit on it? The wooden building has been closed for days, not letting anyone in. They must be waiting for it to be completed. I wonder if we newcomers will be able to get a room. I inquired with the Great Xia people, and everyone will get one, but it depends on your marital status. Married ones can get a family unit, while unmarried ones will stay in shared rooms of 10, separated by gender. Wow, that's so great, I better find a wife quickly. Haha, a wife is not something you can find just because you want to. The hottest topic of discussion in the camp right now is the wooden building. The reason is simple. Ever since the night of April 3rd, when over 5,000 people from the camps of Xia Hong, Tongling, and Sanhu were incorporated at once, it hasn't stopped. Every 2 or 3 days, a new camp joins, and thus the population of Great Xia has seen a dramatic, almost exaggerated surge. With so many people, the 2 wooden huts are completely inadequate. If it weren't for the high temperature within the valley and the southern mine, accommodating a large number of people, many would have nowhere to sleep. So new housing has become everyone's most concerning issue. This applies to both the original Great Xia people and those who joined later. As everyone filed out of the wooden huts, a large group also gathered in the main hall of the left wooden house. Besides the empty main seat, more than 20 people were seated to the left and right below it. Xia Chuan stood next to the main seat, listening to Yue Feng's report below. Yue Feng held a beast skin book in his hand, full of small characters written in coal pencil, reading out the camp's population growth with an enthusiastic expression. First year of the Great Xia, April 3rd, 5219 people from the camps of Xia, Sanhu, and Tongling have been incorporated. First year of the Great Xia, April 6th, 1821 people from Xifeng and Amping have been incorporated. First year of the Great Xia, April 8th, 2521 people from Jiuhu and Gyuku have been incorporated. First year of the Great Xia, April 11th, 2712 people from Quejiang, Pingdong, and Yingku have been incorporated. As each statistic was reported, everyone present, just like Yue Feng, became increasingly excited. However, Xia Chuan, who was the leader, remained calm, just nodding continuously. After all, for more than half a month, he was responsible for allocating personnel to help the people from these camps migrate over, so he had almost heard these numbers all before. After that barter meeting, apart from Xia and Tongling, the remaining 9 medium-sized camps in 5-8 Mountain sent people to visit Great Xia the next day. The effect of the visits was similar to the situation with the Xia camp. The camps on that side of 5-8 Mountain were indeed far inferior to the conditions in Great Xia. As long as they weren't stupid, they basically wouldn't refuse to join. The subsequent development of events confirmed this point. These camps not only agreed to join, but also actively helped Great Xia locate a few remaining small camps, bringing them along and merging them one after another. Of course, the process wasn't simple. During this period, Yu and Dao and the entire hunting department were not idle. Almost every night they had to scout the routes, and after confirming the time, they would escort the people from those camps all the way to the Great Xia Valley. Chapter 362, Chapter 183, Population Explosion, Valley Planning /2. With the lessons of the past, Xia Chuan doesn't dare to be careless about large-scale population migration. In fact, if it weren't for being cautious, the consolidation against the 5-8 Mountain camp could have been much faster. Kleb. As Xia Chuan was pondering, Yue Feng had already reached the end of his report. Yue Feng closed the beast skin book in his hand, and on the cover of the beast skin book, the words Chronicle of Great Xia were strikingly engraved. Reporting to the Lord Minister, Yuan Sijeng has already set out at night. Without any surprises, the 1821 people from Zhu camp will also come over tonight. Calculating this way, the current total population of our camp is. Yue Feng had obviously already calculated it earlier, deliberately paused for a moment, glanced around at everyone present, and finally said loudly to Xia Chuan, 23,231 people. Hiss. More than 20 people present all involuntarily gasped in unison. Even Xia Chuan, who had been mentally prepared, couldn't help but feel his emotions surge, a hint of excitement flashing through his eyes. Over 23,000 people. This is the outcome of completely annexing the entire 5-8 Mountain camp. As for the current territory of Great Xia, regardless of it for the moment, just this size of the population alone is already more than double that of the former Mirror Immortal camp. Who would have thought that just over a year ago, Great Xia was still a small camp with less than 200 people, always on the brink of destruction. Over 23,000 people, the population standard for a village-level camp is only 20,000. Does this mean we've reached it? After a long silence, Yuan Cheng, sitting below, couldn't help but speak. Upon hearing this, everyone couldn't help but start to look moved. The camp's population scale over 500 is medium, 2,500 is large, over 5,000 is giant, and over 20,000 is a veritable village-level camp. Great Xia, unknowingly, has reached the population scale of a village-level camp. But although the population has reached it, the number of strong individuals is not enough. I once heard leader Yuan say that to become a true village-level camp, it must have 3 intermediate spiritual items to suppress and station, in order to achieve deterrence over deceitful monsters. Mengyi recalled what Yuan, who had said during his lifetime, rose and spoke, but before finishing, saw the fiery sun tripod in the center of the main hall and immediately stopped. The others, including Xia Chuan, also reacted, looking at the fiery sun tripod in the middle of the hall with a look of excitement. They don't understand what spiritual items are. But if it's just to deter deceitful monsters, with this fiery sun tripod, they don't need any spiritual items. So, does this mean that from today, we can claim to be Great Xia Village externally? Upon hearing Yuan Cheng's words, everyone got excited. Although Mengyi frowned, thinking that his understanding of a village-level camp was all heard from Yuan Hu and was thus half-baked, he did not speak again. From the aspect of deterring deceitful monsters, Great Xia indeed has reached it. It's just unknown whether there are other standards for a true village-level camp besides this. Let's not talk about this. As long as the strength steadily enhances, even if it's not reached yet, it will be eventually. Q Peng, talk about the registration situation for the camp supply department. Xia Chuan glanced at Mengyi, noted it, but didn't ask further, then turned to ask Q Peng beside him. Q Peng was evidently prepared and took out a scroll of beast skin book, walked to the center of the main hall, and began reporting to Xia Chuan. During this period, the number of people joining the camp is too many, and there are breakthroughs every day, so we can only report the latest data. In addition, the roster of Zhu camp has already been sent over in advance, so it is also included. As of now, the total number of people registered with contribution value is 4113, of which 431 are in the earth-digging realm, 3712 are in the logging realm. The number of reservists over 6 years old who have not broken through to the logging realm is a total of 15,231. Children under 6 years old number 3887. These are the overall population figures for the camp currently. After speaking, Q Peng remembered something and immediately added, "My lord, in this period, the number of reservists breaking through to the logging realm can exceed 100 every day. Those in the logging realm breaking through to the earth-digging realm average nearly 10 a day, sometimes even 20 or 30, so the data changes significantly every day." Xia Chuan nodded, naturally aware of all this. If he remembered correctly, the 11 medium-sized camps over at 5-8 Mountain combined had only 231 in the earth-digging realm. Prior to this, Great Xia had 110, and with the losses of Liu Zhuang and Tian Yu, only 108 were left. If it weren't for continuous daily breakthroughs, the earth-digging realm count wouldn't have reached 431. Needless to say, with the environment gradually stabilizing, those in the logging realm have emerged continually like bamboo shoots after spring rain. But it should be noted, the majority of those breaking through at present are mostly from the earlier group of over 1,000 from Great Xia. This makes sense as the Mirror Immortal Camp was incorporated only a month ago, and as for the 5-8 Mountain people, their incorporation happened only about a fortnight ago. The breakthrough wave for these folks would surely need some time to brew. Although the martial arts hall has powerful functions, it can only accommodate 200 people a day. Since the later newcomers didn't have enough contribution value, it certainly meant that the Great Xia group received priority. Recently, as those from the Mirror Immortal Camp have started accumulating more contribution value, some are now able to enter. As for the over 10,000 people who came in later from 5-8 Mountain, they can only spend some time in accumulating contribution value before they can go in for cultivation. Additionally, according to what you said, my lord, everyone's registration has been meticulously categorized into booklets. Married, unmarried family members, including orphans, all have been meticulously distinguished, forming complete rosters, all documented right here. Chapter 363, Chapter 183, Population Explosion, Valley Planning /3. Q Peng spoke as he handed over the register. Xia Chuan took the register, glanced through it briefly, and his face showed satisfaction. He then returned the register to Qiu Peng and turned to Luo Yuan, smiling. Yuan Dao won't be here tonight. He must have informed you of this, right? Luo Yuan stood up and nodded, also taking out a beast skin book from the side. My lord, the hunting department has established 11 new teams during this period. Adding the original 13 teams and subtracting the disbanded Chuanwu team, there are currently 23 hunting teams. Xia Chuan watched Luo Yuan speak confidently, quickly adapting to the position of deputy director of the hunting department. His eyes revealed a hint of approval, thinking that Yuan Dao was sensible after all. With the merging of major camps, the number of people in the earth-digging realm has been increasing, and the duties of the hunting department have also grown daily. Xia Chuan was not surprised when Yuan Dao came to him a few days ago, proposing to add a deputy director. What surprised him was that Yuan Dao did not propose one of his own people, but suggested Luo Yuan for the deputy director position. Han Guang's Xuanwu team was disbanded by his brother, and he could no longer compete for the pioneer department director position. At the time, Xia Chuan thought Yuan Dao harbored resentment and intentionally suggested another deputy director to promote his own people. Unexpectedly, this was not the case. The matter of Han Guang is entirely his own doing. He caused the deaths of Tian Yu and Liu Zhuang, which made me very upset. The leader's handling of this was fair, and I have no objections. To be honest, I was never very supportive of him vying for the pioneer department director position, but he was hard to dissuade. Now, with such a big issue occurring, I also share the blame. Recalling Yuan Dao's words from the other day, Xia Chuan nodded slightly, cleared his thoughts, and continued listening to Luo Yuan's report. My lord, can we appropriately relax the criteria for forming hunting teams? Currently, there are nearly 200 people who can't join any hunting team. Upon hearing Luo Yuan's final suggestion, Xia Chuan was momentarily taken aback, but quickly understood that there weren't enough hunting teams. Currently, the 23 hunting teams are all low-level, with a maximum of 10 members each according to regulations, meaning only 230 people from the earth-digging realm have joined teams. Yet there are 431 people in the camp, with 199 without teams. The problem is, Yuan Dao originally stipulated that forming a personal hunting team has conditions. First, the creator must have a basic strength of over 20,000 pounds. Second, 4 members are required. Finally, they must hunt 5 different species of low-level cold beasts. Yuan Dao's regulation is very rational. With a basic strength of over 20,000 pounds, leading 4 from the earth-digging realm against low-level cold beasts, even if they can't win due to inexperience, they can at least ensure their safety. The regulation is rational, but the current personnel quality doesn't match up. There are too few from the earth-digging realm, with a basic strength of over 20,000 pounds in the camp. These newly formed 11 teams, Xia Chuan knew, 7 were made up of earth-digging realm members from the earlier Great Xia who met the standards. Only 4 of over 10,000 merged from 5-8 Mountain met the standards, successfully forming one team. Therefore, Luo Yuan proposed to relax the conditions. Otherwise, nearly 200 people would miss out on hunting, which indeed seems unfair. Xia Chuan pondered for a moment and finally shook his head, saying, "The regulation has only been in place for a month. Changing it now would be inappropriate. The 20,000-pound threshold is quite reasonable and unnecessary to alter. Relaxing the conditions could lead to inconsistent quality among hunting teams and casualties, which would not be good. Here's what we'll do. Maintain the existing 23 teams, but you discuss with Yuan Dao. We can modify the current team member limit, expanding low-level teams to 20 people. However, the corresponding limits for intermediate and advanced teams must also change, and the minimum monthly hunting quota must be adjusted as well." Luo Yuan's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and he nodded immediately. Expanding 23 teams to 20 members, each will accommodate 460 people in total. This not only utilizes the remaining earth-digging realm members, but also, crucially, addresses the issue he originally intended to raise second: the increased demand for beast meat due to the recent population growth in the camp, which is now solved. Having resolved the hunting department's issue, Xia Chuan finally turned his gaze to Mu Dong. Mu Dong understood and immediately stood up, respectfully saying, "Report to the Lord Minister. The wooden building is nearly complete and will be ready for full occupancy tomorrow night." Hearing that the wooden building was complete, and occupancy would begin the next night put smiles on everyone's faces, including Xia Chuan. This time they had been too cramped. However, before they had long to celebrate, Mu Dong continued. However, my lord, the camp's current population seems a bit high, with over 23,000 people. Although the newly built wooden building can accommodate them, allocating rooms as before to each individual household is not possible. Everyone was momentarily stunned upon hearing this, including Xia Chuan. After thinking for a moment, they all quickly understood. The newly reconstructed wooden building is only different in materials from the previous one, with much higher defensive capabilities, but the internal layout remains the same. 360 rooms on the first floor, 280 rooms on the second floor, and 100 rooms on the third floor. When the Great Xia previously had only 1,000 or so people, couples could generally get a one-room home, while unmarried individuals were allocated 10-person rooms separated by gender. Now, with over 20,000 people in the entire camp, distributing as before is definitely not feasible. Qiu Peng stepped forward at this moment and said, "My lord, excluding special cases like orphans and single individuals, there are currently 5821 households registered in the camp's family record. Allocating rooms as before will not be enough." Chapter 364, Chapter 183, Population Explosion, Valley Planning /4. Households. Xia Chuan frowned. The wooden building only had 740 rooms in total, which means, on average, 8 households had to share one room, not to mention those orphans and single people without family registration. Housing has become a problem again. However, it's not a big problem. After pondering for a while, Xia Chuan's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said, "Last month when the leader gathered us for a meeting, I mentioned that rebuilding the wooden building was only meant as a contingency plan for emergencies, like the previous cold beast wave. We need a place to quickly gather everyone, with some defensive capabilities, so this wooden building wasn't initially meant for living purposes." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They remembered Xia Chuan had indeed said this last month at the meeting, but if it's not for them to live in, then where would they stay? You probably have a rough idea of the fiery sun tripod's effect, right? Xia Chuan suddenly pointed at the fiery sun tripod and asked. Everyone looked at the fiery sun tripod and nodded. During this period, the radiation range of the fiery sun tripod had been tested. It covered a range of 1 kilometer. The valley where Great Xia was located was only about 300 or 400 meters wide from north to south, and over 1,500 meters long from east to west. The fiery sun tripod almost covered the whole area, even some areas on the outskirts were included. Once the new building is completed, it will no longer be divided as before. With 739 rooms plus 2 temporary wooden huts, they will be evenly distributed to everyone. This means, apart from the leader, everyone else has to squeeze in together. Even counting the 2 temporary wooden huts, the new building would still require at least 5 or 6 households, maybe more. 5 or 6 households meant nearly 20 people. Everyone instantly erupted upon hearing so many people had to squeeze into one room. So tight. How can we live like this? 20 people squeezing into one room, that's unbearable. Especially Yuan Cheng, who had been getting along well with Shilu recently, was looking forward to living together soon. How could they manage without a room? He immediately stood up and asked, "Sir, this won't work, it's too cramped and it's inconvenient for everyone, right?" Everyone looked at his anxious expression, knew what was going on, and all lowered their heads, laughing. Xia Chuan also chuckled a couple of times but quickly waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, I already said the wooden building is for emergency use, not for you to live in. If you want to live, build it yourself." Build it themselves. Hearing this, everyone was stunned but quickly reacted, their eyes shining. Yes, with the fiery sun tripod around, the temperature of the entire valley was not an issue. They could fully construct other buildings in the valley. Building a house belonging to one's own family. Everyone's expressions turned excited instantly. Seeing everyone open their mouths wanting to ask questions, Xia Chuan immediately waved his hand, signaling them to calm down and said with a smile, "Hold on, I haven't finished my words yet. The space in the valley is limited. It won't work if everyone wants to build. So, not everyone gets the qualifications to build a house. Also, how to build, what materials to use, and how big each person can make their house needs special planning and design, or else issues will keep popping up. Moreover, you are all from the earth-digging realm, busy with your daily work, and can't invest all your time in building houses. Construction materials, labor, and other supplies required revolve around how many contribution points it takes to exchange them, and need the camp's supply department and the craftsman department to discuss together. Xia Chuan said a lot in one breath. Although everyone listened in confusion, their expressions still remained enthusiastic. Very simply, the more than 20 present were considered core members of the Great Xia camp. Since Xia Chuan intended to push the housing policy, they, despite anything, would surely qualify. Only Mu Dong and Qiu Peng listened most attentively, as the craftsman department and camp supply department were mentioned. As they listened more, they realized Xia Chuan was clearly giving them tasks. That's it for now, Mu Dong, Qiu Peng. Discuss according to my thoughts, and after you have a plan, show it to me. Once approved, it can be published. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Crowding was inevitable for some time. If one didn't want to be crowded, they needed to spend contribution points to build their own house. Thinking of those early hunting team members who were always bragging about having more contribution points than they could use, Xia Chuan laughed secretly. With this housing construction project, there was now another avenue to spend contribution points. Additionally, with such a massive need for manpower and resources, the consumption was estimated to be quite significant. Having resolved the housing issue, Xia Chuan breathed a slight sigh of relief. Thinking about what Mu Dong and Cheng Feng had just told him, he promptly asked the two of them. By the way, Mu Dong, Cheng Feng, didn't you say you had some new items to show to the leader? Did you bring them? Mu Dong nodded first and showed a trace of excitement on his face, clapping his hands. 5 people immediately walked into the main hall from outside, each carrying a tray. Cheng Feng also looked spirited, taking out 4 bottles from his body. Seeing the two about to speak, Xia Chuan quickly raised his hand. No need, I'll take you to see the leader besides. He looked towards the back at Xi Ping and said, You come too. Xi Ping heard this and his expression was shocked, immediately following with excitement. Chapter 365. Chapter 184. Leap in Productivity, Expansion of Territory, Xia Chuan's Opportunity. Behind the main hall of the temporary cabin, there is a small compartment of 10 square meters. In the small compartment, there is a small square podium with a diameter of 2 meters. As soon as they entered the compartment, everyone behind Xia Chuan first glanced at the black-clad Xia Hong on the small podium and then looked up. Their expressions suddenly shook. The corresponding roof with the small podium has a hole, where snowflakes drift in from outside, and moonlight pours through, just enveloping Xia Hong. Strangely, those palm-sized snowflakes vaporize and rise a few inches away from Xia Hong's body, as if his body is emitting an intensely high temperature. Xia Hong's silk black clothing faintly glows, and his delicate skin becomes ever more crystal clear like jade, making him seem as if he is glowing. In everyone's hearts, Xia Hong's image is already grand, and seeing him now, with a hint of divine appearance and posture, made their gazes even more fervent. Greetings, leader. You may all rise. I've heard what was said outside just now. You've all worked hard during this period. To serve the leader, to serve Great Xia, we do so without hesitation. Xia Hong, hearing their words, quickly guessed that Xia Chuan had taught them to say this. He slightly raised his eyebrows but didn't comment. Instead, he turned to Mu Dong and Cheng Feng and asked, Is there something you want to show me? Upon hearing this, Mu Dong's expression flashed with excitement and signaled the 5 people to step forward. He first walked to the front of the first person and opened a tray, taking out a white soft item, handing it to Xia Hong. Cloth. Xia Hong fully unfolded the item, and his eyes immediately lit up. The item turned out to be a piece of cotton cloth over 2 meters wide. Is this made from bamboo silk? Xia Hong examined it for a while, immediately identifying the raw material of the cotton cloth. Leader, you have a keen eye. Recently, you mentioned 3 things to me. I've researched them for a while and finally managed to create all of them. As Mu Dong spoke, he opened 2 more trays. The tray on the left contained a silky fabric with a rich texture, and the right tray held a sheet of white paper emitting bamboo fragrance. Paper cloth silk. Unexpectedly, the things I casually mentioned before, Mu Dong actually produced them. Xia Hong inspected the 3 items, his expression somewhat excited. Upon first seeing bamboo silk at the Mirror Immortal camp, he thought of these 3 items, but thinking and creating are entirely different matters. Within just a month, Mu Dong managed to produce them. Leader, it wasn't just me who created these. Recently, the craftsman department recruited many people, and many talents have emerged. The three things you mentioned to me before, I initially had no clue, but several logging realm folk from the Mirror Immortal camp suggested ideas, and after many experiments, we finally succeeded. Xia Hong nodded slightly, and turned his gaze towards the remaining two trays. Dong opened the fourth tray, which contained a bunch of white crystalline substances. Seeing that, Xia Hong was momentarily startled, with a hypothesis arising in his heart. Leader, try it. Xia Hong extended his finger, dipped a little, and put it in his mouth, and a long-missed taste rushed from his tongue to his mind, making him close his eyes in delight. Salt. It was actually salt. Dong actually managed to create salt. Xia Hong was a bit stunned, but his face mostly displayed uncontrollable excitement. The importance of salt to humans is self-evident. Even in the ice abyss world, it is no exception. As Xia Hong's power grew stronger, he gradually figured out why the human average lifespan was so short in this world. A lack of salt was one of the important reasons. The only way to obtain salt in Great Xia was from beast meat, but the salt content in the meat was too scarce to meet human needs. Even now, with an abundance of beast meat in Great Xia, in the past, during meat shortages, those consuming crystal fruit couldn't get any salt intake, hence their average lifespan couldn't be high. What are the raw materials of this salt? How was it made? And what about the production volume? Dong had already experimented with salt and knew its importance, promptly replied. Interestingly, our camp has many beast bones, and only a few can be ground into powder for medicine. The rest, unused beast bones, are made into carvings or ornaments. Usually, after carving, there's a lot of leftover bone powder. We would gather these and dispose of them deep to the east of the valley. Half a month ago, someone from the craftsman department, while throwing away beast bone powder, discovered the earliest batch of intermediate cold beast bone powder had turned into yellow-brown crystals, which looked magical, so they brought it back to show me. At the time, I couldn't determine what it was, so I asked Director Cheng to take it to the medicine workshop for an analysis, and it was identified as edible medicinal material. Even though no formula was produced, I still took the material back and tried a taste, finding it unbearably salty. At that moment, Lord Minister had just brought back a large batch of fresh supplies from 5-8 Mountain, including an edible item called frozen pearl, which had an incredibly mild and balanced taste. I combined it, out of curiosity, with the fermented bone powder. After 2 days, we ended up producing salt. Hearing this series of coincidences leading to the production of the salt before his eyes, Xia Hong's eyes grew brighter, but he quickly discerned the key points from Dong's words. Chapter 366, Chapter 184, Leap in Productivity, Territorial Expansion, Xia Chuan's Opportunity /2. The first time to hunt an intermediate snow mane, if I remember correctly, was on January 24th. Half a month ago, I found that bone powder had turned yellow-brown, which means this fermentation process takes about 2.5 months. How is the frozen pearl production over at 5-8 Mountain, and can this salt be produced in large quantities? Dong understood immediately what Xia Hong wanted to ask. After pondering for a moment, he nodded and replied, "From 10 pounds of beast bone powder, about 1 pound of yellow-brown bone powder can be fermented. Adding 1 pound of frozen pearl powder and letting it ferment for a while, you can produce 1 pound of salt. I have already asked the people who came from 5-8 Mountain. The frozen pearl is the fruit of the winter cold tree, which bears fruit roughly once every 6 months, averaging over 1,000 pounds each time. There aren't many at 5-8 Mountain, only known to be 13 trees. The mass production issue shouldn't be significant because we still have a lot of intermediate beast bones left." Xia Hong nodded upon hearing this and fell into contemplation. Dong didn't mention low-level beast bones. Clearly only intermediate beast bone powder can be used. The bone of a cold beast generally accounts for 1/3 of its weight. An intermediate cold beast roughly yields more than 2,000 pounds of bone, but only around 200 pounds once fermented to yellow-brown. At present, only 13 frozen pearls are known. According to Dong, the total annual yield is about 26,000 pounds, which means you need at least 1,300 intermediate cold beasts to successfully produce 26,000 pounds of salt. This is the annual total production. Intermediate cold beasts. Upon reaching this number, Xia Hong's brows furrowed instantly. Given the current strength of Great Xia, with him personally leading the charge day and night, it's not entirely impossible, but it clearly isn't realistic. Batch production is indeed possible, but the output is extremely limited, and we must wait for the camp's overall strength to increase to produce more. This salt is precious, but you should be aware of its yield. You can allocate part of it to the camp's supply department for exchange, but be sure to control the price. Dong nodded seriously, noting Xia Hong's gaze shift to the fifth tray. He hurried over and opened the lid. The fifth tray contained 2 wooden pots. Dong first opened the lid of the first wooden pot, and a fragrance wafted out. Everyone present couldn't help but sniff, their eyes focused on it. Xia Hong didn't need to ask at all. Upon smelling the aroma, he immediately took the wooden pot in hand and took a swig. "Leader." Dong intended to dissuade him, but saw Xia Hong's face only flushed slightly after a gulp, so he shut his mouth right away. This was brewed using Cheng Guo brought over from 5-8 Mountain. I had Yuan Cheng and some others try it yesterday. Even those at the earth-digging realm couldn't withstand a whole pot. Those at the logging realm would fall after just 3 sips. "Leader, you have an enormous capacity." Honestly, the taste of this aged wine couldn't compare to the liquor Xia Hong drank in his previous life, but he couldn't resist since it's been so long since he had a drink. Moreover, the wine entering his stomach caused a reaction in his internal organs, blood, and muscles, making Xia Hong's eyes light up even more. The leader also sees that this wine can promote bodily circulation, meaning it can accelerate beast meat digestion. Doesn't that mean it can boost cultivation speed? Xia Chuan pinpointed the crucial aspect of the drink with one sentence, causing everyone present to have eyes brighten in excitement. "Wait a minute, what's in the other pot?" Seeing everyone's focus shift to the second pot, Dong chuckled and opened the lid directly. Hiss! A rich red wine aroma instantly gushed out of the pot, filling the small compartment with a pervasive fragrance, leaving everyone intoxicated. Xia Hong took the wine pot from Dong's hands. This time, he didn't drink it all at once but stared at the wine for a moment before taking a small sip. "Hiss, so strong." The thick and cool wine entered his mouth, and Xia Hong felt his body's energy and blood surge instantly. A warm current spread quickly throughout his body, especially perceiving his flesh under the skin quivering. His pupils couldn't stop trembling. This wine can actually enhance the strength of his flesh. "What kind of wine is this?" Dong hastily replied. "Report to the leader. This is brewed by fermenting Xianghan fruit with beast blood, which I named blood-cold wine. When it was freshly brewed, I only took a small sip and fell to the ground directly, with swelling flesh for 3 or 4 days. But after recovery, not only did the basic strength increase significantly, but the blood and flesh strength also clearly improved. This wine, those at the earth-digging realm can still handle it, as long as they drink sparingly. Logging realm definitely can't drink it. Anyone who hasn't broken through to the logging realm who touches it might not even survive." Of course, with Xia Hong's eyes flickering, the wine's intensity can provoke such a violent reaction in his body, akin to poison for ordinary people. "Director Mu, what are the production levels of these 2 wines?" Even before Xia Hong could ask, Xia Chuan spoke up eagerly. Dong, seeing everyone's eager looks, smiled and shook his head. "The yields aren't high. The aged wine is slightly better, needing about 20 pounds to ferment into a pound of wine. As for blood-cold wine, it requires at least 100 pounds of Xianghan fruit and an additional 2 pounds of beast blood to get a pound." "No wonder you asked me for 2 pounds of beast blood a while back. I was wondering why you needed it when your cultivation hadn't reached the level for it. Turns out, it was for this." Only then did Xia Chuan realize why Dong wanted beast blood back then. After finishing, he frowned and continued to speak. "The Xianghan fruit was brought back from over at 5-8 Mountain as well, and if I remember correctly, its yield isn't high at all." Cheng Feng immediately nodded, saying, "I've had the gathering department ask, and they found that Xianghan trees grow high up on the mountain walls at 5-8 Mountain. It said they only bear fruit once a year, yielding about 300 pounds, and due to the harsh growing conditions, they're difficult to harvest. If it weren't for these fruits being beneficial for cultivation, the people at 5-8 Mountain wouldn't bother picking them at all." Chapter 367, Chapter 184, Leap in Productivity, Territorial Expansion, Xia Chuan's Opportunity /3. I consulted the leaders of 11 camps, and currently, there are only 6 known Xianghan trees, with an estimated annual harvest of less than 2,000 jin. To mix 100 jin, You need to add 2 jin of intermediate beast blood to yield 1 jin of liquor. With a total annual output of 2,000 jin, that means at most, only 20 jin can be produced per year. Xia Hong slightly shook his head, placed the wine jug behind him without a trace, and turned directly to look at Cheng Feng, saying, "What are the 4 bottles you brought?" Everyone laughed silently as Xia Hong put aside the wine jug. After all, the cold blood wine was especially made for Xia Hong, and seeing him so fond of it, Mu Dong felt naturally happy. Cheng Feng stepped forward at this moment, and sequentially opened the 4 bottles he was holding. The rich aroma of medicine spread out, somewhat diluting the fragrance of the cold blood wine, allowing everyone to regain their clarity. Recently, the camp's resource supply has become abundant, allowing the search range of the collection department to expand. In the Arrow Bamboo Forest and 5-8 mountain areas, we discovered a lot of resources, including a variety of medicinal ingredients. The medicine workshop developed more than a dozen recipes from these. Among these, I deemed 4 to be particularly important, so I brought them for the leader to see. Cheng Feng displayed the pills from each of the 4 bottles and explained the effects of these 4 types of Dan medicine to everyone. Everyone listened with visible astonishment, unable to suppress the joy on their faces. The blood sore pill, an upgraded version of the golden sore powder, offers better healing effects, capable of quickly recovering earth-digging realm injuries, though its effects on the cold resistance level remain unknown. The hot wind pill can quickly heal typhoid, regarded as an upgraded version of the typhoid medicine brought from 5-8 mountain. The blood explosion pill can temporarily block all physical pain. The beast essence pill can improve the efficiency of the human body's absorption of beast meat. Beast essence pill. The first 3 already piqued Xia Hong's interest, but upon hearing the description of the beast essence pill, Xia Hong immediately reached out, took the bottle, and sniffed it under his nose, his expression becoming instantly excited. The medicine is so mild, essentially usable for anyone over the age of 6. Hearing Xia Hong's words, Cheng Feng nodded emphatically, excitedly saying, "Leader, you are impressive. You realized at a glance that this beast essence pill is indeed very mild. Children we tested around 6 years old showed an increase in absorption efficiency by about 3 to 5%. 3 to 5%. Not only Xia Hong, but Xia Chu and Xiping, and Mu Dong all had their eyes light up instantly. 3 to 5% may not compare to the effects of the martial arts hall, but the key point is, it can be used by children and adults over 6. The martial arts hall can only accommodate 200 people a day, and it requires contribution points to qualify. Considering the camp's reliance on advanced combat power, currently, only those in the earth-digging realm, due to Xia Chuan allocating half the quota to logging realm, are allowed in for training. The reserves over the age of 6 aren't eligible to enter, nor do they have the conditions, as they don't even have contribution value yet. Ingredients for making beast essence pill consist of more than 10 types. The rarest is called Jade bone grass, which Lord Minister brought back from 5-8 mountain last time. I've already sent the collection department to search that area these past few days. If the production increases, the logging realm in our Daxia camp will definitely become younger, and maybe one day, even children as young as 7 or 8 years old might break through to the logging realm. Everyone hearing this was visibly shocked. A 7 or 8-year-old in the logging realm, who would dare to imagine that? Have you ever thought that maybe one day, everyone in our great Xia will be able to cultivate, and even children as young as 5 or 6 could have logging realm strength? Xia Chuan's expression froze, as a memory of Xia Hong once telling him this came to mind. His brother had said this just over a year ago. That day seems not far away. These 3 types of Dan medicine are also important, but for now, we still prioritize making the beast essence pill. All Dan medicines from the medicine workshop can be placed in the camp's supply department. Pricing according to production and demand is open for exchange to everyone. Of course, this applies to several other things as well. Xia Hong returned the medicine bottles to Cheng Feng, then glanced at the 9 items he saw today, showing slight emotion. Reflecting upon earlier, hearing about the camp's population swelling to 23,000, Xia Hong felt a sense of understanding. He was no longer surprised by the new developments in front of him. The expansion of activity areas, the broadening range of collection, the surge in population, the improvement in strength, the expansion of demand. All these factors combined will inevitably lead to a leap in productivity development. These 9 items should just be the beginning. After all, 18,000 people just recently merged. Surely after some fermentation, new developments will continuously emerge. Mu Dong and Cheng Feng did a great job. Each of these 9 items gets a reward of 10,000 contribution value, divided among everyone involved. Xia Chuan, make sure the entire camp knows about this. Thank you later. Upon hearing this, Mu Dong and Cheng Feng showed expressions of extreme joy. 10,000 contribution value. In the current camp, it's incredibly valuable. Even though it needs to be shared with others, both of them will still receive a considerable amount of contribution points. Understood, brother. Receiving the assignment, Xia Chuan's eyes also showed a glimmer. Chapter 368. Chapter 184. Leap in Productivity, Territorial Expansion, Xia Chuan's Opportunity /4. It's imperative to let everyone know that Xia Hong's intention is clear. It is to encourage everyone at the camp to actively create new things. Naturally, he understands this. Indeed, these 9 things would greatly help the camp, and if more could continually emerge, the role they will play in the development of Great Xia will be immeasurable. Having finished reviewing the 9 new things, Xia Hong turned his gaze toward Xia Chuan. Xia Chuan immediately stepped forward, took out a beast skin roll from his body, showed a trace of excitement on his face, and unfolded it before Xia Hong and the others. As soon as everyone saw the map, their expressions shook, and they immediately became spirited. So did Xia Hong. He was very familiar with this map. A month ago, during the reform of the 6 ministries, it was he who showed it to the others. However, at present, there was significantly more content at the bottom of the map. At the top of the map, the words "the Xia map" were also specially marked. Xia Chuan pointed at the additional content at the bottom of the map, speaking with enthusiasm. "Leader, please look. The terrain around the 5-8 mountain has been thoroughly explored by us. 5-8 mountain is located north of the Xing River, 3 kilometers from the riverbank, running east to west for a total length of 15 kilometers, and the south to north width is about 5 kilometers, observed as such. The whole mountain has 5 main peaks, from west to east named as 1-8, 2-8, middle-8, 4-8, 5-8. Previously, those camps, active regions, were all at the southern slope of 5-8 mountain, near the Xing River side. The inside of the mountain and the northern slope were mostly unexplored by them. In the past few days, I've already sent the hunting team over. We've discovered that the most prevalent type of cold beast there is the frost electric ape. This type of cold beast likes to form groups, often tens together, making hunting extremely challenging. To fully explore the 5-8 mountain, I estimate it will take at least 6 months. Hearing Xia Chuan's description of 5-8 mountain, Xia Hong nodded repeatedly. The frost electric ape, if I'm not mistaken, one of the cold beasts he Yuanhun first brought to the camp included one of these. They love forming groups, often tens together. It's no wonder hunting cold beasts is so difficult for the camps in the area of 5-8 mountain. Through our preliminary exploration of 5-8 mountain, we can be sure there are no other human camps on the northern slope, so. After introducing the entire 5-8 mountain area, Xia Chuan paused, circled the whole of 5-8 mountain and the area below with his finger, and continued. The 5-8 mountain, along with the 3 kilometers of northern bank along the Xing River, totaling an area of 120 square kilometers, now fully belong to our Great Xia. Square kilometers. Adding the previous 300, Great Xia's current territory now amounts to as much as 420 square kilometers. Looking at the territorial range on the map, Xia Hong's expression also trembled slightly. It's only been a month since the integration of Mirror Immortal, yet Great Xia's territory has expanded so significantly. This rate of expansion is indeed somewhat astounding. Xia Hong scanned the Xia map, his brow slightly furrowed. The northern slope of 5-8 mountain, the western mountain wall of Twin Dragon Mountain, the eastern part of Redwood Ridge, the western part of Arrow Bamboo Forest, and a small southeastern section of Pinxi Plain. Great Xia's current territory is roughly composed of these 5 blocks. Xia Hong suddenly realized that Great Xia's control over these 5 blocks was limited to a corner, not the entire area. This is not a small problem. They could easily draw a map, saying these places all belong to Great Xia. But will others acknowledge it? Or suppose, one day in these regions, they encounter people from other camps, will those people agree with Great Xia's claim? Xia Hong contemplated for a while, noticing everyone's high spirits and fearing dampening their morale, so he didn't directly voice the issue but instead kept it in mind. He planned to discuss it separately with Xia Chuan later, letting him handle the execution specifically. After finishing the matters involving Mu Dong, Cheng Feng and Xia Chuan up next. Finally, Xia Hong directed his gaze toward the back at Xi Ping. Xi Ping, you as the Pioneer Department Director, it's up to you. Xi Ping's gaze was still immersed in the Xia map, not hearing Xia Hong's words at all, until Xia Chuan nudged him, and he suddenly snapped to attention. Thank you, leader, for the promotion. I will surely devote myself wholeheartedly to expanding the territories of our great Xia. If I'm not up to the task, let the leader punish me without complaint. Hearing his oath-like response, Xia Hong nodded with a smile and said, It's good that you have this resolve. Hong Guang's mistake this time gives you a lucky break. The more so, the more you should work seriously, lest others see it and say you're unworthy of your position. Understood? Yes, leader, I will definitely endeavor. Sensing encouragement in Xia Hong's tone, Xi Ping's expression grew a bit solemn. All right, everyone else may leave, Xia Chuan stay behind. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately bowed and exited, leaving only Xia Chuan behind. Big brother, how did you know I had something else to tell you? Xia Hong was momentarily stunned. Seeing the mysterious look on Xia Chuan's face, he immediately realized it was a misunderstanding and laughed. What, do you have something else? Xia Chuan nodded, showing a mysterious grin, and with a flick of his right hand, dozens of white threads suddenly appeared, subsequently flying into his embrace. Afterward, he flicked his finger slightly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A fist-sized red beetle-like creature unexpectedly slowly flew out from his chest, and once it got in front of him, it sharply darted forward, flying straight toward Xia Hong. From the moment Xia Chuan produced the white threads, a hint of guess crossed Xia Hong's eyes. Seeing the beetle flying toward him, he calmly extended his hand to gently grasp it, catching it immediately. That red wood is indeed a material for making puppets. Looking down at the beetle in his hand, made of red wood, Xia Hong instantly understood. Xia Chuan, with excitement on his face, nodded and said, When I saw that wooden stick in Liu Dahu's hands the other day, I recognized it too. It's exactly the same material as the puppet controlled by Wood Puppet Monster. In these past few days, while interrogating Liu Dahu, I also conducted my research, and unexpectedly I really succeeded. This red wood is exceptionally compatible with my transparent threads. It's usually soft, hardens upon force, and the more force it withstands, the more stable its internal structure becomes. At the same time, it can dissipate my power outward, making it the optimal material for puppets. Xia Hong squeezed the beetle in his hand slightly harder, and it wasn't until exerting about 10,000 pounds of force that a small crack appeared. Liu Dahu has already confessed that this red wood was obtained accidentally in a frost electric ape nest at 5-Ape Mountain. As long as we can find more in the future, I can create larger puppets, and the strength they'll exhibit will surely be even greater. Xia Hong recalled facing that giant wooden puppet created by the Wood Puppet Monster at Rojal Camp, and his eyes lit up. Xia Chuan had previously acquired 3 items from the Wood Puppet Monster. Besides occasionally using the black blade and the transparent threads, the puppet inheritance was essentially useless. This red wood in Liu Dahu's hands counts as a fortunate opportunity for Xia Chuan. Research it well. Judging by Yang Ning and Li Hu's covetousness toward the wood puppet Gik inheritance back then, your future potential is absolutely immeasurable. Hearing Xia Hong mention the two from back then, a flash of coldness passed through Xia Chuan's eyes first, then he nodded and replied, Understood, big brother. The reason I kept you behind was for something else. Xia Hong then brought up the last thing, pointing out the 5 blocks one by one to Xia Chuan, and began laying out the next stage tasks for the camp. Chapter 369, Chapter 185, New Home Land Arrow Bamboo Forest. First year of the Great Xia, April 21. The wooden building is finally completed. The notice from the craftsman department was issued during the day, so once night fell, a large crowd flooded to the wooden building. These 4 walls have a lot of iron materials mixed in, they look so sturdy. I heard that all the joints used for connections in this wooden building are made of iron. Each wall alone used an average of 120,000 jin of iron. Hiss, 120,000 jin. When we were over at 5-Ape Mountain, the annual mining output was only over 200,000, and just one wall used up this much. Can your Zhu compare with Great Xia? Do you know how much iron ore was mined just in the past month in Great Xia? How much? 900,000 jin. Hiss. Hearing this number, Zhu Meng's pupils trembled greatly. Turning around, he found that even his father, Zhu Xing, was stunned, his mouth open and not closing for a long time. No wonder, though Zhu camp has 21 people in the earth-digging realm qualified for mining. They do not have chewing teeth chisels. On average, each person can only mine about 100 jin a day, and it's impossible to mine every day, so the annual output of tens of thousands of jin is already quite good. 900,000 jin of iron ore in a month. What kind of concept is that? I've heard that there will be even more this month. Lord Yuwen established a rule before. Every earth-digging realm must pay 5,000 jin of coal and 2,500 jin of iron monthly. Do you know how many we have in the camp now? Everyone turned their heads to look at the person speaking, with curiosity in their eyes. The person slowly extended a hand, spread out 5 fingers and said with a smile, I heard it's almost 500, so think about it. In the next month, what will our camp's iron and coal output be? Earth-digging realm members. Before anyone even started calculating, they were already shocked by this number. Especially those like Zhu Xing, Zhao Kingcheng, Chen Hua, and others who recently came over from 5-8 Mountain. They were amazed, and a trace of complexity appeared on their faces. They've all been leaders before, and know very well what this number represents. 2,500,000 jin of coal, 1,250,000 jin of iron. Hiss. Someone calculated the quantities of iron and coal, creating a commotion among the crowd. No wonder this wooden building could use so much iron. 48,000 jin for all 4 walls adds up to about a third of a month's mining output. I heard that this wooden building can even withstand a cold beast tide, so in the future, it can be brightly lit even during the day. I wonder if we can each get a room. We should all be able to get a share. Let's go in and have a look. Let's go in. We can look around freely today. Look, Lord is already leading people inside. We'll get our allocation soon. A large crowd flowed through the main entrance and filled the entire wooden building, which stretched 200 meters in length. The overall structure of this wooden building is actually the same as the previous one. The biggest difference is in the materials used. This is particularly evident inside the wooden building. Therefore, whether it's the original more than 1,000 people from Great Xia or the over 20,000 people coming from Mirror Immortal and 5-8 Mountain, they all couldn't help but exclaim in wonder after entering the wooden building. Except for the first floor, the floors of the second and third floors are all laid with a mix of iron sheets and wood. The circular suspended stairs in the center are also forged from iron. The 12 load-bearing pillars are all made of pure iron. Tusk, how heavy that must be. The fiery sun tripod is directly suspended in the center and can move up and down. Hiss, such thick iron chains. The ones we used before to defend against the cold beast tide weren't even half this thick. Director Mew said earlier that this wooden building is more than 10 times stronger in defense than the previous one. No wonder we won't need to fear even during the day. Living here, we won't be afraid even if the cold beasts come. The story of Great Xia's resistance against the cold beast tide has been spread widely over these days. The 3,000 or so people from Mirror Immortal are still okay, but nearly 20,000 from 5-8 Mountain, they haven't even seen a cold beast tide, let alone groups of more than 3 cold beasts. Knowing that the wooden building they will be living in can withstand a cold beast tide, their excitement is understandable. Except for the top floor, the first and second floors are open for visitors. The more than 20,000 quickly dispersed throughout, examining everything on their own. Some even started to figure out which room might be more comfortable to live in. While everyone was visiting the first and second floors, Xia Chuan, accompanied by the 6 department directors, was showing Xia Hong around the newly completed third floor. The central hall on the top floor. No, it shouldn't be called a hall. This should be called a great hall. A vermilion main door, wooden floors carved with beast patterns. Above, a golden ceiling painted with lacquer made from powder ground from golden frost wood. Around the great hall, 16 2-meter-high cold beast statues carved from beast bone, each uniquely and vividly colored. In the very center of the great hall is the fiery sun tripod, with the access point of the suspended stairs blocked, clearly intended to prevent casual entry. Aside from the suspended stairs, there's only one entrance and exit to the Great Hall, the vermilion main door on the west side where Xia Hong and others entered before. Surrounding the fiery sun tripod are 4 load-bearing pillars running up from the first floor, different from the other 8 pillars throughout the wooden building. These 4 have a layer of gold lacquer, just like the top. If these details lend the Great Hall a bit of solemnity. Then the 5-meter-wide raised platform with 10 steps on the eastern side, inside the Great Hall adds to its majesty. Chapter 370, Chapter 185, New Home Land Arrow Bamboo Forest /2. And the grand golden chair on the high platform added a touch of sanctity to the entire hall. The chair was also golden, but unlike the gold on the ceiling and load-bearing pillars of the hall, it was a textured gold. With just their eyes, everyone could discern that it was made from large pieces of beast bone, polished and pieced together, and then thickly lacquered with gold paint, finally resulting in such an effect. The chair had a square backrest, and on the part above the cushion, at just 1.5 meters, were intricately carved patterns of over a dozen miniature cold beasts. On either side of the armrests, a pair of small Tengjiao were carved with open mouths and claws, their heads positioned at the very front of the armrests, roaring forward with vivid and domineering expressions. The wall behind this chair wasn't left bare either. On the wall was engraved a gigantic map of the Great Xia, visible to everyone in the hall with just a glance upwards. Mu Dong, your craftsmanship is getting better. Hearing Xia Hong's praise, Mu Dong's anxious heart immediately relaxed. Thank you, leader, for the compliment. He spoke and then, remembering something, continued. Leader, Lord Minister has said that this hall is henceforth designated for deliberations by the camp, which is why a lot of effort was put into it. Your room is right at the back of the hall. Why don't you go take a look? If anything is missing, we can add it in. Seeing the anticipation in Mu Dong's eyes, Xia Hong immediately guessed that his room was probably even more extravagant than the hall. He chuckled lightly and shook his head, saying, I'll check the room by myself. Everyone is waiting for their rooms to be allocated. You all have plenty on your plates today, so get busy. Hearing the occasional noise coming from downstairs, Xia Chuan nodded, excused himself, led everyone to open the staircase entrance to the grand hall, and descended. Xia Hong then pushed open the large door of the east wall and walked into his room. Everyone gather in the main hall. Lord Minister has an announcement. Everyone gather in the main hall. Lord Minister has an announcement. On the first and second floors of the wooden building, repeated announcements echoed throughout the corridors. At the call, everyone who had been exploring various parts of the building hurried towards the main hall. After the tour, it should now be time for room allocation. Everyone was mentally prepared, and as they walked towards the main hall, anticipation filled their hearts, with broad smiles on their faces. Soon, a crowd of over 20,000 people gathered in the main hall on the first and second floors. Despite having 2 levels, the space, being 50 meters wide, felt overcrowded with over 23,000 people present. Quickly, not only the main hall, but also the surrounding corridors, and even the central staircase were filled with people. Anyone who came in saw Xia Chuan standing above the second-floor staircase, holding a booklet in his hand. Guessing the booklet contained the room allocation list, everyone couldn't help but show eager expressions. Seeing that most people had arrived, Xia Chuan turned his head to glance at Yuan Cheng. Understanding the cue, Yuan Cheng immediately stepped forward and loudly shouted, Silence everyone, silence! Silence everyone, silence! Silence everyone, silence! With his basic strength nearing the 30,000 jin limit, Yuan Cheng's shout had tremendous penetrating power. With 3 consecutive calls, not only the 2,000 to 3,000 people in the main hall, but also those in the entire floor corridor could hear him clearly. Over 20,000 people fell silent, and the entire wooden building instantly became as silent as a church. Xia Chuan walked to the center of the staircase and spoke loudly. With the completion of the wooden building, all of you are probably eager, so I won't waste words. Let's proceed with the allocation. The entire wooden building is divided into 3 floors, with 100 rooms on the top floor, 280 on the second, and 360 on the first. Excluding the leader's room, there are a total of 739 rooms. Apart from the leader, there are 23,230 people in the entire camp, comprising 5,821 households, with a population of 19,212 people. The remaining 4,018 people have individual status as they are unmarried. With only 739 rooms available, priority will be given to households, with an average of 9 to 10 households sharing one room, totaling approximately 610 rooms. The remaining individual status members will be allocated based on gender, with an average of 31 people sharing one room, making up 129 rooms. This is the general arrangement for this allocation. Later, the Camp Supply Department Director, Q Peng, will post the allocation list at the entrance of the wooden building, and you can check the list to find your assigned room. Is that clear? Yes, it's clear. Hahaha, as long as I can move in. Understood, sir. With Xia Chuan's words, responses came one after another, and the vast majority of people beamed with smiles, evidently quite satisfied. However, a small number of people frowned deeply, clearly puzzled. With 10 households to a room, there'll be at least 30 people, Lord Minister. Won't that be a bit too crowded? Yeah, the rooms on the first and second floors are just 10 meters wide. Squeezing 30 people into 100 square meters is indeed too cramped. It's better than the previous 2 temporary wooden houses, but still quite cramped. Those who spoke up were mainly from the earth-digging realm of the hunting department. Hearing these queries, the rest also realized, remembering the rooms they'd just seen, that such allocations would indeed be crowded, only slightly better than their current temporary wooden houses. Hearing these inquiries, Xia Chuan was not surprised and reiterated the words he'd said during the meeting last night. As I've mentioned before, this wooden building was only constructed to cope with emergencies like the previous cold beast tide, and not intended for improving living conditions. Therefore, the allocation method will not change. Chapter 371, Chapter 185, New Residence Land, Arrow Bamboo Forest /3. Hearing Xia Chuan's words, everyone immediately stopped talking. But just then, Xia Chuan suddenly changed his tone and continued. However, there's another way to live comfortably. As he finished speaking, Xia Chuan signaled to Q Peng. Q Peng brought a few people to carry out a wooden board and placed it in the center of the main hall. The wooden board was about 1.5 meters long and roughly 30 centimeters wide, with 3 thick lines running horizontally across it, dividing it into 5 sections. Around these lines were many small square boxes, each labeled with numbers starting from 1. In the middle of the board, there was a giant frame. In the center of the big frame, 2 characters were marked. Main building. Seeing the words main building, everyone looked surprised. Some earth-digging realm members, including many from the Mirror Immortal camp, seemed to realize something and their expressions brightened immediately. Some of the smarter ones, seeing the words wooden building and those numbered square boxes, also had their own guesses. Feeling it was about time, Xia Chuan pointed at the wooden board and continued. From today onwards, anyone in the camp who breaks through to the earth-digging realm is eligible to purchase a plot of land from the camp supply department. The small numbered boxes here represent the plots of land planned for you. Each plot is 100 square meters. After purchasing the land, you can spend contribution points to have the craftsman department construct a building for you, your own house. Xia Chuan paused at this point, noticing that everyone's eyes were starting to shine, and he added more fuel to the fire, continuing. This house, along with the land beneath it, will be registered and permanently preserved by the camp supply department. As long as there are no natural disasters or man-made catastrophes, it will be lived in by you and your descendants for generations. Roar! With this, everyone was in an uproar. For generations, even when I die, I can leave it to my sons and grandsons. As long as I buy it, it's mine. The house is nothing. The land is what's valuable. It must be built. Earth-digging realm. Only those who reach the earth-digging realm are eligible. I must hurry up and cultivate. The highest number is 4,200 on that board. Wanting to live in the valley, I have to break through quickly, or it'll be gone soon. The logging realm and some ordinary people were just visibly excited, caught up in the heated discussion. Meanwhile, the nearly 500 earth-digging realm members in the camp, knowing they had the qualification to build houses, their gazes turned fiery, and nearly all eyes were drawn to the wooden board behind Xia Chuan. This was no longer just about improving their living conditions. It was about the opportunity to leave a fortune for their descendants. With the development of the Great Xia as it is today, they could almost foresee the future value of these plots of land. Sir, what about the price of the land? Could you tell us more about it? Yuan Cheng was the first to impatiently speak up, asking the question everyone was concerned about, and all eyes instantly focused on Xia Chuan. Xia Chuan laughed lightly at this, seeing the eager looks on everyone's faces. He didn't keep them in suspense and directly pointed to plot number 11 on the board, saying, "The price of plots varies depending on location. You can find out from the camp supply department later. I'll use plot 11 as an example. The price for this plot is 5,000 contribution points." Gasp. Even putting aside ordinary people and those in the logging realm, even Yuan Cheng, who had followed Xia Hong on the initial hunts, couldn't help but gasp. Points, what does that mean? He had just over 6,000 points on him. And as far as he knew, Xia Chuan had just over 10,000 points. Seeing Yuan Cheng's expression, Xia Chuan secretly laughed in his heart. This price set by Qiu Peng had been discussed with him. He had a rough idea of who could afford it at this stage. This price was certainly considered expensive at present, but not unreasonably so. It wasn't difficult for those in the earth-digging realm to buy. Just by calculating the bare minimum income, 2,500 kilograms of iron, 5,000 kilograms of coal, and earth-digging realm's monthly mining income alone would be 500. For a low-level hunting team, the minimum quota is 15 low-level cold beasts, divided among 10 people. Each could roughly earn 450 points. In this way, it would take about 5 months to afford. And that's calculating the lowest income. If one wants to buy faster, hunt and mine more, it wouldn't take 5 months to have it in hand. Compared to the 10-stone iron bow that costs 2,000 contribution points to exchange, this land's price could be considered extremely low and unreasonable. After all, looking a bit further ahead, as the population increases, the prices of these lands will definitely skyrocket, possibly to an outrageous extent. Setting it at 5,000 is considered a benefit in advance for you. Xia Chuan thought to himself. Seeing that the discussion among the crowd was almost over, he had the board removed and continued. All right, you can find out more about building houses from the camp supply department later. Let's conclude this for today. Next, I have 2 more announcements to make. The first announcement is to commend Mu Dong and Cheng Feng. Salt, silk, white paper, cloth, alcohol, beast essence pill, blood sore pill, hot wind pill, blood explosion pill, 9 items, each rewarded with 10,000 contribution points. As soon as Xia Chuan announced Xia Hong's commendation order, the entire camp of over 20,000 people erupted in excitement. Even those in the earth-digging realm were no exception. 10,000 contribution points, and it's even a one-time reward. Even upon hearing Xia Chuan say that it would be distributed equally among all participants, everyone still looked very excited. Chapter 372, Chapter 185, New Home Land Arrow Bamboo Forest /4. This number is really too tempting. The earth-digging realm currently guarantees only more than 1,000 points per month. To earn more, the effort expended is not low, yet inventing one thing gets rewarded with 10,000. Everyone in the camp had eyes burning with desire. Seeing everyone's expressions, Xia Chuan knew that his brother's objective had been achieved. No surprise, in the coming days, people in the camp would surely rack their brains to do research, especially those who have not achieved much in cultivation. Now they have a new way to gain contribution value. After finishing the first matter, Xia Chuan directly dismissed everyone, leaving only the captains of the 22 hunting teams. "Lord Minister, do you have instructions for our hunting department?" Seeing Xia Chuan leaving only the hunting department people, Yuan Dao asked. Xia Chuan nodded and, without beating around the bush, took out a marked Xia map, showed it to everyone and asked. "The area currently controlled by our Great Xia is roughly divided into 5 sections. The 5-8 Mountain North Slope, the west side cliff of Twin Dragon Mountain, the eastern outer part of Redwood Ridge, the west part of Arrow Bamboo Forest, and a small southeastern section of Pinksy Plain. Have you discovered anything?" Upon hearing this, everyone displayed a curious look in their eyes. This isn't a problem. The markings on the map by Xia Chuan are very clear. The minister wants to say that we control only a part of these 5 sections, not the whole area, right? In the end, it was Yuan Dao who spoke up. Xia Chuan nodded, knowing that everyone had figured it out and did not play coy, speaking in a deep voice. 420 square kilometers is not the limit for us, Great Xia. The work of territorial expansion must not stop. From easy to hard, these 5 sections are 5-8 Mountain, Arrow Bamboo Forest, Pinksy Plain, Redwood Ridge, and Twin Dragon Mountain. The 5-8 mountain is too far from this valley and there's a cold wave coming soon, so let's shelve it for now. Our next phase task is the Arrow Bamboo Forest. Xia Chuan pointed to the location of Arrow Bamboo Forest, pondered for a moment, and continued. Arrow Bamboo Forest runs east to west, with a total length of over 70 kilometers and a north to south width of about 20 kilometers. This entire area has been included in the territory of Great Xia, but in reality, we have only explored 1/3 of it. Moreover, this 1/3 was explored by the Mirror Immortal camp previously. Xia Chuan did not speak this aloud, but everyone understood in their hearts. Mu Dong, didn't you recently say that the craftsman department is short of bamboo silk? If we can take over the entire Arrow Bamboo Forest, then the collecting department will be much more convenient in the future, and the bamboo silk output will naturally increase. Mu Dong and Cheng Feng, standing beside, nodded their heads upon hearing this. Paper, fabric, silk, bowstring. The uses of bamboo silk are no small matter. If the collecting department can freely enter and exit the entire Arrow Bamboo Forest, the bamboo silk output will surely rise in the future. Therefore, the next phase task is to finish exploring the remaining 2/3 of the area, turning the entire Arrow Bamboo Forest into our Great Xia's actual territory. While doing so, let's see if there's any other human camp on the eastern edge of Arrow Bamboo Forest. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they all nodded. Mapping out a detailed guide and bringing new population to the camp. These two tasks are also part of the Pioneer Department's responsibilities and offer considerable contribution value rewards upon completion. Additionally, Xia Chuan glanced at Yuan Dao, pointed to a place marked as Jing Valley on the map, and said, "The coal mine in Arrow Bamboo Forest can be temporarily ignored, but the 2 iron mines near Jing Valley must have people rotate guard duty over there to prevent others from unauthorized mining. Therefore, I decided to establish a temporary outpost at Jing Valley." Yuan Dao's eyes showed a trace of complexity but still nodded. Jing Valley, naturally the former station of the Mirror Immortal camp, though it has now become history, still belongs to the territory of Great Xia and naturally must be managed. The buildings in the Mirror Immortal site are still there, with many things that can be directly used, making it perfect for a temporary outpost. This temporary outpost can serve as a supply point for exploring Arrow Bamboo Forest. If you go too far in and can't return to the valley in time, you can rest there. More importantly, it can keep an eye on Pinxi Plain, preventing Beehive or other camps from targeting Arrow Bamboo Forest. With these 2 points mentioned, everyone immediately realized the importance of Jing Valley and looked up at Xia Chuan. "Who among you is willing to take charge of this outpost?" The captains of the 22 hunting teams were immediately stirred. "I'm willing." "Me? I'm willing as well." Apart from Yuan Dao, the other 21 captains eagerly stepped forward to express their willingness to take on responsibility for this temporary outpost. They were eager even before saying what sort of support this temporary outpost would receive. It seems these people have come to their senses. Since everyone is interested, let's compete as before. Xia Chuan paused after speaking, then continued. There are still 9 days left this month. Starting from the last 9 days, whoever explores the most area of the Arrow Bamboo Forest will be in charge of the Jing Valley outpost. The 21 captains nodded heavily in agreement. "My lord." At this time, Yuan Dao, with a hint of hesitation, said, "By the end of the month, the ice tree is about to bear fruit. At this time, exploring the Arrow Bamboo Forest." Zhu Yuan, Zhu Ling, Hong Tian, and Meng Yi, 4 people from the Mirror Immortal camp, immediately reacted upon hearing this. Their expressions changed. During the crystal fruit maturation period, a beast tide occurs in Arrow Bamboo Forest. They almost forgot about this. Fortunately, Yuan Dao remembered. "Don't worry, the leader is aware of the beast tide, and during this time he will also be over there. If there's any issue, he will notify you at any time." After hearing that Xia Hong would personally go, everyone's expressions immediately turned invigorated. However, Yuan Dao and the other 4 still had furrowed brows. They have tangible experiences with the beast tide in Arrow Bamboo Forest. Given the current strength of the leader, fears might. The 5 exchanged glances, and though worried, seeing the expressions on Xia Chuan and others' faces, they held back their words. Chapter 373. Chapter 186. White Bear, Mountain River Team Stranger. First year of the Great Xia, April 30. Roar. In the depths of the arrow bamboo forest, a cold beast with snow-white fur was roaring furiously towards the sky. The cold beast stood upright like a human, approximately over 4 meters tall, covered in snow-white fur. Its body was exceptionally wide and thick, with enormous palms bearing claws like steel hooks more than 10 centimeters long, incredibly intimidating. At this moment, however, an iron arrow was lodged in its left eye, spewing out dark green blood, while its remaining right eye was bloodshot red, roaring incessantly. Not only its left eye, but the cold beast's 2 feet were each trapped in a half-meter-long ring-shaped animal trap. Although the serrated edges hadn't pierced through flesh, they were firmly embedded in its paws. These 2 animal traps were also tied with 10 ropes, stretched taut, extending over 10 meters in all directions, with 10 people dressed in beast skin clothing at the ends, gritting their teeth as they held on tightly. Almost there, switch sides and pull together. From a large tree to the left of the cold beast, Yue Feng shouted aloud. Hearing him, the 10 people holding the ropes immediately moved. They quickly changed their positions, gathered together, then collectively gritted their teeth and pulled the ropes backward with force. Roar! The animal traps were pulled from one direction, causing the cold beast to tilt over. Despite its constant roaring, trying to regain balance, within less than 3 seconds, it toppled over. Bang! With a loud crash, the cold beast's body fell and hit the snow, stirring up a snow fog over 10 meters high. The moment the cold beast fell, Yue Feng, who was knocking an arrow on the tree, locked eyes with its right eye and swiftly released the bowstring. Whoosh! The iron arrow pierced through the layers of snow fog in midair, hitting the cold beast's right eye with unerring precision. Roar! Now blinded in both eyes by the iron arrows, the cold beast's roar turned increasingly hysterical, its ferocity fully aroused. It slammed its huge palms on the ground, sending tremors throughout a radius of several tens of meters. Boom, boom. Let's see how hard you are to kill. Grasping a longsword, Yue Feng leapt down from the tree, landing directly on the cold beast's head. Seizing the moment while it was roaring and its mouth was still open, he exerted force with both hands, thrusting straight into its mouth. Splurred. Dark green blood spurted out. With a fierce gleam in his eyes, Yue Feng gripped the longsword and stirred it fiercely in the beast's mouth. At the same time, a continuous stream of iron arrows was shot into the cold beast's pupils, and the 10 people who had been pulling the ropes also charged over with large knives, frantically hacking at the weaker parts of the cold beast's body. In its death throes, the cold beast's resistance became even more frenzied, with its enormous palms pounding indiscriminately in front of itself. Yue Feng, along with the other 10, relentlessly attacked while constantly dodging. Yet despite this, 3 people were accidentally struck by the cold beast's palms, their bodies sent flying backward over 10 meters like cannonballs. If not for the snow on the ground cushioning them, the distance could have been even greater. Splurred. Seizing a gap, Yue Feng glanced back and saw the 3 spitting blood and struggling to stand, with urgency flashing across his face. Boom! A giant palm of the cold beast came whistling in, but Yue Feng ducked beneath it, with his peripheral vision catching sight of the 2 iron arrows lodged in the cold beast's eyes. Gritting his teeth, he firmly grasped the sword hilt, twisted his body suddenly, and slammed his legs down onto the ends of the 2 iron arrows. Splurred. The 75-centimeter-long iron arrows, originally only halfway embedded, were now fully driven into the cold beast's eyeballs with that stomp from Yue Feng's legs. Roar! In excruciating pain, the cold beast let out a violent scream, and with a sudden convulsion of its body, all the 10-plus people, including Yue Feng, were thrown off. Boom! The 10-plus people were all sent flying and crashed into the snow, with almost everyone but Yue Feng coughing up blood. Don't engage directly, shoot from afar, it's at its limit now. Suppressing the blood rushing in his chest, Yue Feng shouted to the others, then took the lead by pulling out a longbow and firing quickly at the cold beast, which was stumbling and fleeing deeper into the bamboo forest. The others, hearing this, didn't dare to delay, forcing themselves to stand, spreading out, each drawing their longbows and firing arrows frantically at the cold beast. The cold beast, already blind, was stumbling chaotically, crashing into trees along its path. In less than a dozen heartbeats, it was worn down by Yue Feng and the others from behind, using iron arrows. Boom! The enormous body fell to the snowy ground, making a loud crash. Huff! The serious expression on Yue Feng's face finally relaxed, and he exhaled a long breath. "Captain, are you okay?" "It's finally dead. Quick, help the injured." Yuan Sijing was right. The vitality of this white bear is incredible. That hide is terrifying too. I just struck the same spot with my big knife 5 times before it finally cut through. If we hadn't shot its eyes first, we might not have taken it down. The captain's last strike was crucial. Both iron arrows penetrated deep into its skull, yet it still managed to unleash such strong force, sending all of us flying. Standing still, Yue Feng panted heavily for more than 10 breaths, ignoring the others' discussions, and swiftly moved to the side of the 3 people who had just been struck by the white bear's giant palm. "Yuankun, how are you all holding up?" The 3 were barely sitting upright, with Li Yuankun, the least injured, applying golden healing powder to himself, while the other 2, more seriously injured, each swallowed a blood sore pill. Chapter 374. Chapter 186. White Bear, Mountain River Team, Stranger /2. Li Yuankun was the first to recover. After panting heavily for a long time, he looked up at Yue Feng, waved his hand, and smiled. "It's okay. I just accidentally got my shoulder clawed, leaving a cut, but it's not a big deal." The other 2 swallowed the blood sore pill and spoke weakly after a long while. "My bone's cracked. It'll probably take 3 or 4 days to heal. I'm more serious with 2 ribs broken. It'll likely take 10 days. Hearing that their injuries were so severe, Yue Feng's expression turned a bit somber, and he apologized. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have been so rash." "Captain, please don't say that. Map exploration can earn contribution value, let alone hunting cold beast. We all came willingly. It has nothing to do with you." Li Yuankun was the first to argue against Yue Feng, and the others also spoke up one after another. "That's right, we all came to earn contribution value. It has nothing to do with the captain. We all agreed to it. What's so reckless about it? The Arrow Bamboo Forest is originally our great Xia's territory, and we got here first, paving the way for others. That's good." Listening to everyone's words, Yue Feng's eyes showed a slight emotion. As the second batch of hunting teams created at the camp, Yue Feng knew well that the Mountain River team's strength was not strong. But 9 days ago, when he heard Xia Chuan say they were choosing a person in charge of the Jing Valley outpost, he was moved. As one of the earliest members of Great Xia, having followed the leader Xia Hong for the longest time, Yue Feng naturally had high expectations for himself. Last month during the hunting department's restructuring, his basic strength hadn't reached 20,000 jins, so he couldn't join the first batch of created teams and had to join Xia Chuan's Cloud Jiao team, which he self-reproached for a long time. After some desperate training, once he passed the 20,000 jin threshold, Yue Feng immediately informed Xia Chuan of his intention and left the Cloud Jiao team to create the Mountain River team. Since its founding, the Mountain River team has been in existence for less than a month. They couldn't even measure up to the first batch of 12 created teams, nor were they strong among the 11 teams created at the same time. Given normal competition, the possibility of Yue Feng winning was very low. Thinking it over, Yue Feng could only choose to take risks. He discussed with the 19 team members to advance quickly at a pace of 1 kilometer per day. He didn't keep it a secret and told everyone directly that he wanted to compete for the position in charge of Jing Valley. Surprisingly, everyone agreed. Li Yuankun and some other early Great Xia members' agreement didn't surprise Yue Feng, as he already had feelings with these people. But the fact that other Earth-Digging Realm members in the team also agreed truly surprised him. These Earth-Digging Realm newcomers came from 5-8 Mountain. Yue Feng didn't have any emotional attachment with them, not even knowing them before. Just after one talk, they decided to support him, which deeply moved Yue Feng. Feeling moved brought pressure, which inevitably made his actions a bit more rash. Originally, today they had explored up to 29 kilometers deep. With this progress, they should have been sure to win. But Yue Feng was still not reassured, worried about other teams exploring even deeper, so he decided to lead everyone another 2 kilometers in. This risky move indeed brought problems. White Bear. The white bear mentioned by Yuan Dao, they ran into it. This was the cold beast currently lying on the ground. Yuan Dao mentioned that there weren't many cold beasts in the Arrow Bamboo Forest, and 90% of them were white bears. The Mirror Immortal camp previously lacked cold beast meat because the white bear was too difficult to hunt. A low-level white bear required him personally to lead a team to hunt, and an intermediate white bear even required cold resistance level experts like Yuan Hu and Yuan Hun to take action. With Yuan Dao's words in mind, when Yue Feng's team encountered the white bear, their first instinct was to retreat. After all, exploration wasn't hunting, and Mountain River team had already met its minimum quota for the month. There was no need to tackle the hardest prey like the white bear. The problem was, this white bear locked onto their team. After a brief encounter, the white bear was always following their team. Despite Yue Feng's zigzagging, they couldn't shake it off, and it almost followed them to the edge of the arrow bamboo forest. Thus, Yue Feng had no choice. The arrow bamboo forest was now one of Great Xia's resource areas, with many logging realm practitioners coming every night to harvest bamboo silk. If this white bear was led to the edge and harmed people, it'd be troublesome. Consequently, Yue Feng decisively led the team to take action. The result was as it is now. Though the white bear was successfully hunted, the team also suffered casualties and injuries. Those injured weren't only the 3 who were struck away, including Li Yuankun. The remaining 16 members, including Yue Feng himself, were also wounded, just not seriously. This white bear, according to Director Yuan, is still a low-level cold beast. No wonder he said an intermediate one needs cold resistance level experts, truly strong. Li Yuankun stood up at this moment, walked to the side of the white bear, sighed slightly, and then thought of something. His eyes lit up as he asked Yue Feng, "Captain, hasn't the contribution value price for the white bear been set yet? I haven't seen anyone else from other teams bring one back before. Could this be our camp's first hunted white bear? If it's the first one hunted, its value would be quite high. The camp's supply department has a rule that the first hunt of any cold beast, whether low-level or intermediate, once authenticated, receives 10 times the contribution value reward." Upon hearing this, everyone's spirits immediately lifted. Chapter 375. Chapter 186 White Bear, Mountain River Team, Stranger /3. 7 days ago, Lord's Cloud Jiao team hunted an intermediate blue moon elf, reportedly earning 35,000 contribution points, with each team member getting over 1,000 points. I know about that, and 5 days ago, Lord Chief's Dragon Wu team also hunted a low-level frost electric ape, earning over 3,000 points, almost equivalent to an intermediate cold beast's contribution value. If this white bear is really the first one, it should be worth at least 300 to 400. Wouldn't we also earn 3,000 to 4,000 points in one go? Haha, that's great. Seeing everyone getting more and more excited, as if the contribution points were already in their hands, Yue Feng shook his head, finally unable to resist speaking. "What are you thinking? Do we have the strength to be the first? If it weren't for our thorough understanding today, do you think our team could have directly killed this white bear?" Everyone froze upon hearing this, recalling the hunting process just now, realizing that Yue Feng had a certain understanding of the white bear, and their excitement diminished significantly. At the beginning of this month, Luo Yuan's Tiger Leopard team had already brought back a white bear, back when our Mountain River team hadn't even been formed. Tiger Leopard team, Luo Yuan. Everyone's expression changed upon hearing the name, nodding slightly. Currently, there are 23 hunting teams in Great Xia, and across the entire camp, each is undoubtedly a focus of attention. But in their earth-digging realm circle, everyone's eyes are mainly fixed on the Cloud Jiao, Dragon Wu, and Tiger Leopard teams. The reason is simple, because for the past month, these 3 teams have consistently occupied the top positions in the hunting merit rankings, forming the first-tier echelon. The Tiger Leopard team is now ranked 3rd, and I remember their merit points for this month have reached over 13,000. Assuming an average of 300 points per low-level cold beast, they've already hunted over 40, clicking the tongue. Not just low-level cold beasts, but also the reward for the first kill. Our team this month, counting this white bear, only 17 heads. First and second are even more formidable. I checked last night, Lord's Cloud Jiao team has accumulated over 52,000 merit points. Even excluding the 35,000 for that intermediate blue moon elf, they still have 17,000 points, which translates to over 50 low-level cold beasts. Isn't that outrageous? Yuan Zheng's Dragon Wu team. Listening to everyone's discussion, Yue Feng couldn't help but feel a strong sense of urgency amidst his admiration. The Lord and Yuan Dao are both straining to become the first intermediate hunting team in Great Xia. It's just a matter of who can take the lead. As the team leader in the hunting department, he naturally knew more than ordinary team members. With the department's restructuring less than a month and a half ago, the emergence of an intermediate hunting team was imminent, and his own mountain river team had only hunted 17 cold beasts so far. How could Yue Feng not feel the pressure? Pack up, we'll first return to Jing Valley for a break before heading back to camp tonight. Upon hearing they would be returning, everyone's spirits lifted significantly. Finally, we can go back. It's been 3 days since we last returned. There are still 7 hunts in Jing Valley, plus this white bear. We should be able to gain plenty of contribution value on this trip back. After braving the elements for so many days, it'll be good to have a proper rest back home. To efficiently scout the Arrow Bamboo Forest, Yue Feng had led his team of 19 to directly reside in Mirror Valley, only returning once every 3 days. Living truly outside, everyone came to appreciate just how good the valley base was. One would think Jing Valley wasn't really bad either, with houses, coal stoves, tools, all sorts of supplies left behind when Mirror Immortal Camp moved over, basically having everything but living here just couldn't compare to the comfort and security of the valley. Knowing they would go back tonight, everyone's mood naturally soared, and the speed of withdrawal significantly increased. Before leaving, Yue Feng climbed to the top of a bamboo, roughly observed the surrounding terrain, then took out a beast skin roll, sketched with a coal pencil before satisfactorily jumping down. 31 kilometers, the Arrow Bamboo Forest stretches 70 kilometers from east to west. We've already explored nearly half. Continuing systematically like this, it shouldn't take much longer to fully scout. Mirror Immortal Camp had previously scouted 20 kilometers, and the map brought back by Yuan Dao had detailed records, so their starting point was from the 20-kilometer depth. In these 9 days, Yue Feng had led the team 11 kilometers eastward. Achievements were indeed impressive. Li Yuankun's injuries had almost healed, and he excitedly said, 11 kilometers, other teams couldn't have scouted so far. Barring any surprises, the person in charge of Jing Valley should be you, Captain. Upon hearing this, Yue Feng hesitated slightly and said, not necessarily, I'm not really afraid of others, but I'm a bit worried about Hong Tian, Zhu Ling, Zhu Yuan, and Meng Yi's 4 teams. They're much stronger than us. If they also focus on exploring, they might not be worse than us. Li Yunkun's expression turned serious, nodding slightly. All 4 of them have advanced cultivation in the earth-digging realm and have started using beast blood. In terms of strength, they are much stronger than Yue Feng. If they're equally aggressive, they might not be easy to surpass. Let's just do our best. I believe I've tried hard enough. If we lose in the end, there's nothing we can do. Jing Valley is originally their home ground. It would be quite fit to let them be in charge of this base. After speaking, Yue Feng's eyebrows tightened slightly, clearly not as calm inside as he appeared. The group quickly left the north of the Arrow Bamboo Forest, heading towards Jing Valley a kilometer away, which was the original base of Mirror Immortal Camp. Last month's battle had primarily been destructive to the inhabitants of Mirror Immortal Camp. The damage to buildings and camp layouts wasn't severe. Aside from the main building previously occupied by He Yuanhun and 2 other wooden houses being utterly demolished, the rest of the structures were intact, with even the interiors largely untouched. Having stayed here for 2 nights, everyone was naturally familiar with the place. After descending a southern passage, they headed directly to the wooden house where they previously stayed. But they hadn't gone halfway when Yue Feng, at the forefront, suddenly frowned while looking at the snow-covered ground and abruptly halted. Move those 2 into the house. The rest spread out, prepare torches and solidified fire oil, and see if it's people or something else. The people in the rear heard the voice and, following Yue Feng's sight, noticed additional footprints in the snow. Their pupils contracted, and they quickly moved to action as deployed. The 2 injured were placed in a nearby wooden house, while the remaining 17 scattered to begin their search. In the ice abyss world, it snows constantly, quickly covering footprints with snow, removing any trace. To leave such clear footprints, whoever made them couldn't be far, and it's quite possible they're hiding in the camp. Hezzy. We hit the jackpot, so much beast meat, just picking it up for free. Let's hurry back, so much stuff, gotta steal, haha. Laughter echoed from the front, and Yue Feng, along with the others intending to spread out, immediately halted. No need to look, everyone come back. The voice came from the house where they had previously stayed, so the reason for the others' delight was not hard to guess. Damn it, they dare touch our prey. Before Yue Feng could react, Li Yuankun and a few others couldn't hold back anymore and charged directly toward the wooden house. Everyone go, leave one person here to watch over the two injured. Yue Feng did not stop them. If they were people, then everything was negotiable. Those 7 hunts were something they had worked hard for, braving the elements for 3 days. Li Yuankun and a few others were angry, and so was he. The 17 approached the wooden house and saw someone entering and exiting, carrying cold beasts one by one, causing their faces to instantly turn cold. What are you carrying? Who are you? A low shout from Yue Feng caused the opposing group to immediately become vigilant. The 7 people outside immediately put down the cold beasts they were holding and grabbed their weapons. At the same time, 16 people rushed out from inside, each wielding weapons and glaring angrily at Yue Feng's approaching group. I asked, what are you carrying? With the second inquiry, Yue Feng's tone grew increasingly low as he spoke while raising his iron core bow, knocking an iron arrow, directly aiming at the middle-aged man at the forefront of the group. Of course, as he moved, Li Yuankun and the remaining 16 also swiftly completed the bow-drawing and arrow-knocking action, all aiming at the other group. 17 on one side, 23 on the other. Even though Yue Feng's side had fewer people, their posture appeared much higher, and even the look when drawing their arrows carried a clear sense of disdain. Chapter 376, Chapter 187, Lu Sheng, Stealth Harvesting, Humiliation. Disdain, of course, has its reasons. The 23 people in front of him, although they are also wearing beast skin clothing and beast skin boots, have a noticeable disparity in workmanship, style, and even fabric compared to those of Great Xia. The types of cold beasts that Great Xia can hunt now amount to as many as 21, with even more if you count the intermediate levels. The camp obtains a large variety of pelts, both in quantity and richness. On this basis, the craftsman department has begun to process the pelts more finely, and the clothes made from them not only have more colors but are of better texture than before. For example, Yue Feng himself is wearing a brown cloak, while Li Yuankun and the others wear colors of brown, yellow, black, and blue, which are far richer than their opponents. Not just in color, the texture and workmanship are visibly better as well. Of course, it's not just the clothing. The difference in weapons is even greater. The 17 people on Yue Feng's side not only each have a main weapon of different styles, but also have short swords and daggers at their waists, and a set of 10-stone iron core bows on their backs. However, among the 23 on the opposing side, although they also carry weapons, it's usually just a main weapon, unlike Yue Feng and his team, and only 10 carry bows, which is less than half of their total. I am Lu Sheng from the Hive Camp Hunting Team. May I ask, which camp's hunting team are you, and why are you here at the Mirror Immortal territory? With such a huge gap in clothing and weaponry in front of their eyes, not only could the people of Great Xia see it, but the other side wasn't foolish either. Upon hearing they were from the Hive Camp, Yue Feng wasn't too surprised. Mirror Valley is generally located southeast of the Pinxi Plain, and to the north and west are the territories of the Hive Camp. It's not surprising that, after Mirror Immortal Camp was wiped out over a month ago, they came to investigate. Luckily, Lord Minister was foresighted, and let us prepare in advance and come to Jing Valley frequently. If they had come a bit later and the Hive Camp sent people to occupy it, we would have suffered a great loss. Yue Feng thought to himself, keeping the bowstring tight in his hand. He said to Lu Sheng with a deep voice, Mirror Immortal has now fully merged into our Great Xia Camp. From now on, Jing Valley belongs to us. Didn't you see the monument we erected when you entered from the northern passage? The monument. Lu Sheng's brows furrowed. Indeed, he saw a monument engraved with the words Great Xia when he first came in, but at this moment he wasn't in the mood to pay attention to this. When did another Great Xia camp emerge around the Arrow Bamboo Forest and actually annex the Mirror Immortal camp? The leader once said, he Yuan Hun and Yuan who are not simple characters. Mirror Immortal has these cold resistance level experts and 300 to 400 earth-digging realm warriors. Their strength wasn't weak. How could they be inexplicably swallowed up by Great Xia? The strength of Great Xia. Lu Sheng looked up, seeing the 17 on Yue Feng's side with their well-equipped attire and everyone armed with 3 weapons. His face eased immediately, and he smiled. I see, it was a misunderstanding. Today was the scheduled trading day between us, Hive, and Mirror Immortal. When night fell and I didn't see anyone from Mirror Immortal camp, I thought something might have happened, so I brought people over to check. Trading day. Yue Feng didn't inquire further. He just stayed alert, continuing to watch Lu Sheng. Seeing the 17 didn't lower their bows and arrows, Lu Sheng realized something, turned to his side and said to his companions, "Put the stuff down." After saying this, he turned back to Yue Feng and smiled. "I thought these were ownerless goods, my apology for any offense, and I hope you will forgive us." Though he had not entirely dropped his guard, Yue Feng relaxed seeing the courtesy and release of the cold beasts by the others, lowered his bow, and cupped his hands, saying, "Great Xia Mountain River Team, Yue Feng." After speaking, Yue Feng gestured towards Li Yuankun and the others. The group immediately understood, and all laid down their bows and arrows. "Brother Yue, since Mirror Immortal has merged into Great Xia Camp, could your camp continue the trades with our hive?" Recalling the barter meetings at 5-8 Mountain, Yue Feng roughly guessed the nature of the trading day, and after hearing Lu Sheng's request, he thought for a moment before saying, "I'm afraid I can't make that decision. I need to report back first. If Brother Lu doesn't mind, come back in 5 days and I'll give you an answer." Upon hearing this, Lu Sheng looked at Yue Feng, a hint of something flickering in his expression, before nodding in agreement. "If that's the case, I won't intrude any longer. Today's incident was a complete misunderstanding, and I hope Brother Yue won't take it to heart." Yue Feng shook his head, indicating it was no problem, watching as Lu Sheng and his group headed for the northern passage. He noticed 2 individuals with bulging bags, which made a crisp clinking sound as they walked, causing his brow to furrow, and he said in a deep voice, "Please tell Brother Lu to convey a message. Mirror Immortal has merged with Great Xia, so its territory belongs to us as well. Please advise the Hive Camp people not to trespass into Jing Valley. This first time, I'll pretend I didn't know, but if it happens again, it won't be so easy." Lu Sheng paused momentarily, turned back with a smile, cupped his hands and said, "Rest assured, Brother Yue, I will relay the message." Watching the more than 20 people all exit through the northern passage, Li Yuankun finally couldn't hold back any longer and said, "Captain, it's obvious that the bags are filled with iron ore. These guys must have been stealing from the Eastern Iron Mine." They definitely were. Those 2 bags must weigh tens of thousands of pounds. They must have started mining as soon as night fell, and it was organized by more than 20 people, likely with tools, but they hid them, not daring to let us see. Chapter 377. Chapter 187. Lu Sheng, Unauthorized Mining, Humiliation /2. Everyone collected around 400 to 500 pounds each. They must have brought tools, probably not worse than our Great Xia's chewing teeth chisel. They likely came after nightfall last night. As soon as we left, they came with their people. Seeing no one at the station, they scouted around and found the iron ore, then immediately started stealing it. These guys are really cunning. Stop talking for now. 2 of you go and see which one they are mining. Yue Feng directly interrupted the discussion and instructed 2 people to check the iron ore. He then looked up in the direction Lu Sheng left, his face slightly darkening. Although the other side seemed polite just now, he wasn't so naive. Politeness stems from strength. To put it bluntly, it's because they weren't confident in taking down him and the 16 others. Otherwise, from the reaction when they discovered the cold beast meat and the act of stealing iron ore, tonight wouldn't have been so relaxed. They've already stolen iron ore, yet they're asking to continue trading with our Great Xia. Do they think we are all blind? A casual remark from Li Yuankun made Yue Feng's expression change. Stalling for time. The opponent is trying to stall for time. Yue Feng suddenly realized the opponent's intent, his face immediately turning grave. He looked up and said, "Yuankun, take 2 people with you, escort those 2 injured back, and report to Lord Minister at the base immediately, explain the situation here, and have him bring reinforcements as soon as possible." Upon hearing the phrase "stalling for time," everyone else also reacted. "All right, I'm hitting back now." Li Yuankun nodded immediately, selected 2 people, and walked towards the injured individuals. Soon the 2 who went to check the iron ore returned. "Captain, they were stealing from the No 2 mine, which is closest to the valley entrance. They even marked the entrance. It seems they really plan on occupying it long term." Upon hearing the news brought back by the 2, Yue Feng's brow furrowed deeper. This Lu Sheng clearly doesn't seem as straightforward as he appears. "Everyone comes with me to guard the No 2 mine. Unless I'm wrong, Lu Sheng will bring people over soon." Yue Feng took the remaining 14 people and headed toward the No. 2 iron mine. On the eastern side of Jing Valley there are 2 iron mines, one located to the south, the other near the northern passage. With Mirror Immortal merging, these 2 iron mines naturally became assets of Great Xia, each given a number. The southern iron mine in the valley is almost depleted. These 2 iron mines are very important to the camp and must not suffer any mishap. Hopefully, the minister can bring reinforcements quickly. The exact location of the hive station and its distance from Jing Valley, Yue Feng didn't know. If they brought people over before Xia Chuan, relying only on these 15 individuals to hold them off would be wishful thinking. It's not that we're afraid. Based on Yuan Dao's previous words, we can gauge the overall strength of the hive camp is, at most, similar to the previous Mirror Immortal camp. Now, Great Xia certainly wouldn't be afraid. The issue is, if they truly forcefully occupies the iron ore, for Great Xia to take it back will definitely result in severe casualties. Problems that can be avoided should naturally be avoided with all efforts. Yue Feng and his people stay here to establish a rationale, asserting Great Xia's sovereignty over these 2 iron mines. The question is, will they take advantage of the small number of our people and act rashly? Yue Feng's heart sank slightly as he turned to observe the other 14 individuals. He found most of them looking apprehensive. After pondering for a moment, he whispered, "You can hide off to the side. I'll stay here alone." It just requires claiming sovereignty. There's no need for so many people. If, as he predicted, a large group comes over, 15 people truly wouldn't be effective anyway. It might be better for him to stay alone. "Captain, I'm not afraid. Who knows how many people they'll bring, but we're stronger together than you are alone." Exactly, Jing Valley is our Great Xia's territory. These 2 iron mines are ours too. Letting them steal some is one thing, wanting to take it all, no way that's happening. We're a team, we advance and retreat together. Wouldn't other teams laugh at us if we hid and let our captain face it alone? Defending territory is not only the captain's duty, we all bear that responsibility. Lord Minister and the leaders won't treat us poorly after knowing what we're doing. Yes, we're not leaving, we'll guard here with the captain. With everyone chiming in, they quickly dispelled their inner fears, replacing them with a firm resolve to defend Great Xia's territory. Seeing everyone's determined expression, a touch of emotion appeared on Yue Feng's face. They must understand clearly how dangerous it is to stay behind. Yet even with that understanding, they unwaveringly stayed. It should be noted, most members of the Mountain River team joined the camp only this month. In such a short time, expecting them to have developed a strong sense of belonging to Great Xia is unrealistic. It can be said, what motivated their choice was the past half-month or so of shoulder-to-shoulder hunting experiences that have accustomed them to advancing and retreating together, sharing life and death. No wonder when I formed the team, Lord Minister said that all teams in the hunting department would become the absolute core strength of the camp in the future, and we captains would inherently become the backbone of Great Xia. At this moment, Yue Feng recalled what Xia Chuan had said before, his heart slightly solemn, realizing that his choice would influence these people below him. A stronger sense of responsibility naturally arose from his heart.